In order. But I have.
If you were gonna refuse it,
Oh.
Yeah. if you're gonna recuse, then you shouldn't move your participate.
Okay.
Get someone else.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I think when you refuse, you should refuse the entire part of the process, not just the vote. That's what I would.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
This came to the board and the public doesn't have it. Nobody's had time to look at it. I'll say that it's right or wrong, or to agree with it.
You just hand it out for us to read it.
But we cannot put this on the table tonight. If it goes on the table, everything in it. It's the new it, so they can, and that's one of the things that we've been doing. We've been putting things on the agenda. We've been putting things on the table that hasn't been on the agenda for the public to look at. Okay. Now, because this is a thing for the public, it can't come out before time.
And because.
No, it can't. No, we're not doing.
I already asked.
He can't tell you that.
Yes,
Tell you that.
he can.
No, he can't.
Look at the town policy.
No, he can't.
Look at the town policy.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rutstown Board meeting. July 22nd, 2026. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Councilwoman Rizzo,
Here.
Councilman Kies,
Here.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Here.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Supervisor Hankins.
Here. I would like to call the executive session for the purpose of looking at a legal issue and a contract issue. And we would like just the secretary to be present.
You have to vote.
Okay. And result for it, please. We need a second.
Who's the second?
Second. Luke, gave a second.
Okay, Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman Kies,
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Supervisor Hankins.
Yeah.
And what was it? You wanted the second, you wanted
That's the secretary.
just me?
Yes.
You don't need me?
No.
Oh. I thought about an email before I got here, I'm down to 3. Isn't that amazing?
How do you do that? Gosh, Thursday's not, and I'm not gonna get to all of them.
It's aspirational.
Okay, and that's only one account. I've got 3 other accounts to.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay.
I get you, my personal account is different. That's got all the other family ones, the school ones.
It's where the fun. Neighbors. Yes. Very bad. Yeah, we didn't have a road or something this time, but we didn't exacerbate significant challenges. What road was? Then 14, what is it, 14 feet? Well, it's 14-foot wide. And 12 feet. I was thinking about it. I haven't made it.
Laugh of the sky's not on fire this week.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. And
That was interesting.
Yeah, like.
So we have all of them.
Yeah. The problem is it comes down. Yeah, I know there's a choice.
Yeah.
Can I show you recently?
You came out fast too.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Fixed it? It is.
No, that's actually.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was. Well, and I know, right?
So that's-
I did your drive it.
Right. 30 years.
Cause you're driving over there, that's where you could enter.
So this roof would be nice. Oh, that's right.
But it doesn't look that way, because everybody says it's good. They tend to be honest, it's very-
And then you also just go on the decline. You know.
I used to treat it as over there. I was a tree stop, so I'm not considered, because there's so much. I know. It just.
My dad had a. Some friends as well. So it's a 12 grade, I think there's. Another later.
Just the shape. This is not.
I was wondering whether that would really into what.
We're sitting there. That's sitting there, but it's still juice.
So my, it wasn't.
So what did this? Okay, I'll agree. And so. And people at everything else, I find.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard to tell what's coming from. The ceiling. 20 feet high. So outside. Like, so I have the shingles is sort of wall, the shingles like this.
We did their vice But for you, you don't done that many.
Well, it's very. Well, I guess it's lost. Yeah. Oh, yeah, never use that. Before the end of the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you never read. It's community doctor.
Well,
You know what I mean? Because I thought this, yeah.
yeah. Every single time.
But it, but it's
Yeah,
just.
kind of renovation.
Yeah, just, yes, you know, that kind of.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's. That way. So when I go to sleep. Cardiology. We should go. Yeah. You gotta pay. Oh, yeah. And. Hey, that son place on my girl's office, basically. So. You know, I know things because my son and daughter-in-law are doctors and they check back and forth, but it's never about patients, but about this. Well, you know what? I was saying next year, I'm going to push up. It's a really so. Well, that's because it's like these days. Yeah, but I also understand because the tournament this weekend was in Speaker. And the tournament next week is in. It's an hour. And all three, all three. I go on Saturday, but then there's also on 2 games.
Yeah.
And then if they do well Friday, and 2 games Saturday. Then the question is, am I driving back? So, championship. Yeah. But the technology, I can sit in my bed. And watching. It has these. I smell the hills.
Yeah.
It has who's bad, so it has. She's always like me, a country. It's a very, you know, yes. Basically, yes. Yes. I know the markets were out. So That's great. I know it's a single, I know, cycles up to triple. I know there's a base ceiling. I know whether it's steel, there's a difference, or whether it's steel. Whether it's open without videos, I don't know the difference because it's already not. And they have sport, yeah, I mean. Something. My grandson is she's a cat. And always, yeah. The ride. I mean, the mountain. We got like pretty. Yeah, And, yeah, it's right on the leg. Yeah, I just go back. Right on the leg. Yeah. Yep. Or am I gonna play? Right. And hopefully I don't think about it. Thank you, probably good time.
Yeah.
Because you know that. So, right. And I like the other your word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like, it's a real thing for your interest. And that. The whole pan. And I'm like, where'd you from?
My university.
From your side.
It's same size as our. It's a small pool. You're not a stage, which is like. No.
Yeah. Which, oh, yeah, I got your little number.
I love those.
Sharon.
Those are.
What can I ask? Nobody comes to me.
Oh, move around.
Depends on. Better way.
So you should be.
Not playing it.
I think I want to say
What's your?
everything. What?
Yeah. How was your workday today?
It was good. You give your bill first.
My,
We'll give that. I'm hungry. Tuesday.
Cool.
So it's Aaron's birthday.
especially.
I work with my guys. It's like certainly something better, but. Feels.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Every day. See that relationship. Yeah. They're just taking her. She's about girl that she did good. Yeah. And it was just like over now, this weekend, it was a trade. No, I mean, it's a smart hat. I don't think it could like, you know. But you guys were like a little bit worried, I don't really had someday maybe it'll. I told it was maybe teaming up, somebody else to hang out together. No, you said.
Oh.
I was like. Yeah.
Because here.
I think we should bring this.
I think we might get this.
Right. It's like. Oh, I call her now. It's right, yeah. We're talking as well, we're on the phone together, you know. And I think it anxious, just like now I'm getting sure. Yeah, he doesn't want to know about the now, and I was yesterday, all of a sudden, like, tries to sleep on her couch. And then Saturday was a set of plans, they like really like them. That getting sensitive, they're big chickens, you know, they push them around if they want to, it's really just the male getting. I think it's a so dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, we might need to just sit over or some male getting here. Oh, it's fluctuating or something.
Well, it's not too big.
Yeah, that's why we have the food outside, there's all the food, the cakes for allowing the guys like that. Lots of egos. So, yeah.
That's the most.
Yes, yeah, I think what's the. Yeah.
Less really bad. I'm getting the closest. One thing they can be.
Yeah.
But I'm in Texas, so very tired. Like this. Yeah, yeah.
Girls just,
It's kind of wonders, you know, but, I don't need a switch, this is or that really.
Other days a week, I was expecting it like a.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I'm giving you, I was trying to. Squirming them in and got them up in the corner, put it on changing boots.
Wow.
Yeah, they are, you know, they can't have it on the board.
Well, that's the thing, but
I did it 3 years.
They're crazy, they mix them all the fun.
Where's
Yeah,
I used to go?
See if you don't run into
First play.
Yeah. Right, this time of year, like, yeah. Russians are originating from that state, which are fine.
Yeah, they're great. I was watching and they're really good.
Here.
Yeah, oh, that's where you was all there, especially this Rush line.
And you just have to, so you like, better be.
Right? Parents a little bit, oh, yeah, we go through the script.
That's right over here.
One hand. Wait, if I go down.
I don't know, I think that's funny. Probably, he was saying, he was saying, it's not longer.
Even the. But I can let her run. I can let her out if I'm out. But they have to have 6 degrees. Wildlife right now because they had the spring was. You might have lost. Oh, well, I'm gonna go out there now, but I'll show one. I don't know if there's something.
Yeah, she's trained. Self-bar, like self-pronounced, regular, multi-word.
I might have been trying really. It has never been seen.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, but she's just.
Well, we just had a yesterday.
Oh, she's just, I don't intermittent 3 now, it's just like her body. Right. Yeah, I don't know how to do it, like, can't. Think about, she said, like, it was like 4 yeah. And she just wants, she wants to. Be on her. Where there'll be more kids to play with. It's like, yes, that's very much.
They do get a Friday.
That's how I tell you, that's how you do it.
Was anybody?
Was that,
Oh, I don't know.
no, see, I need that.
They have like, yes, it's real. So fun. They are else. And it's like, and then where they sort of like try to match like partners who are like exceed and partners who want. Just start firing. So she's. I now, I read them all. So she's hoping she can get. It hurts for me.
No, no, not.
But you should do those. And submitting to that slave. Yeah, it feels clear. Oh.
So I get all these tools, then I get caught up on the people that are not loans. And then I've got this wood, I've got all this extra push from that maternity. But I can't imagine. Having the same fun to write over.
How often is it now?
Well, I learned how to weld as I got older, and I just took 2 months of metals. And then I found out I had welded.
Oh, I didn't.
I have the right.
Like, gosh.
There.
Right, oh, the right, oh, right. You don't even, right, like your trouble stuff.
Oh, it's the first one.
No, well, I can.
That's, oh,
And I have like oral surgery also. Yeah.
Mine is not
Okay, I'll get on.
oh, that's the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's my law.
So, yeah.
Break it off. So you just-
It's gonna be like something.
Different ways. And it's this like.
If he looks like
Much of chowder is I'm saying, my team. No, like, I need to go out and rest the last, like.
Hey, boss, I didn't remember that.
It's just nice. And she.
Oh, no, it's just the.
In the little machine. It says that real interesting, it's just. Like water spray.
I think that's what it's.
It's separate, you know, something projects so that like. Yeah, whatever, it's like. And it was actually like, I eat this like.
Yeah.
Great thing and like.
Oh, I
you
get
know, yeah, actually like.
It is.
It's on the downstairs, like, and out the.
Well, that's, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of, I thought you were gonna throw like soldiers.
Oh, no, yeah, so it's, you know, like it was a show, but.
It's gotta go beyond that.
Yeah, it's the, somebody, you know, they really don't enjoy it, but. It would be.
That's pretty expensive. You're not-
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's hot.
Yeah, right. There's one, like, a picture, going to her, one of the players.
Sure.
You made all the same.
Yeah, you have my, I was, somebody I know, and I forget, like.
Take big ups.
All space.
Like all
So, they're all in the- Yeah, it's like.
Fix them up and stuff. But 53 chairs, I don't know what that might.
That's a lot.
Oh, yes, so. I didn't want to see.
Since I know that.
Copy and read for such a ridiculous fire. That was rough. I have like. Like Friday, it was a horrible journey. But I feel okay now. But yeah.
We don't get around, you gotta sit down, you walk a little while, you sit down.
I really love.
Well, it starts on the other side.
Right, well, you know, my dad.
Well, this is the very end of the map.
When they got married.
It starts right here.
Whose house do they go?
Right, that's about it, it says, no, it seems that's saying it must be yours.
Well, they have to, no, they have to have,
Oh, they, yeah.
they,
That's all. Oh, yes, yes, but- Hey, a nice little ranch, and perfect.
yeah.
Oh, that's off.
Yeah, just go down, it's the. Once you start driving, it's the first road. Past the. repair shop,
Yeah.
Right. Double sided. Yeah, you know, sure, so hanging up to the basement.
Well, it's 3,000 versus.
I guess you have.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. You know, but it's racial plans, you know, or 2,000. It's another question. And you can teach it. They start. Oh.
So charge.
You found very good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's this time, because I'm not even doing. Thank you.
We're in Australia.
Round table.
Ron?
Round table. Okay, yeah, that was.
Of course.
It is. I read it, yeah. I read it in there.
It's all good, right?
Yeah. Let me show you where I lived.
Oh.
Waverly Cemetery, I'm still on.
You used to live in a cemetery?
No. I used to walk through there all the time.
You're
I didn't know. Was always better to be in the middle. I tried. No. This is my name. Oh, you're so sweet. As you can see. Hey, I'm Phil. I just removed myself from the conversation. So up there to St. Thomas Street. Oh, really? The street.
Oh, football.
I really like it so much.
It's not, it's a bottom.
Yeah.
Never give up.
Yeah. So.
I got a, I had a job, but then I was told.
Imagine. Yeah, it was, because there's the shops, unfortunately, in these buildings. No, it wasn't, it was 18. It's a big problem. We were 18. That's how it's raised.
So. James? James. But then James was scared.
Anytime, she's been such
Yeah,
a.
that-
He's like getting this pictures. So I.
Oh, yeah.
He's got your plans.
What's between there? Oh, no.
It was talking about this.
Cool.
He didn't.
Oh, you say that.
But, when you go back, actually, the articulations, so it's just gonna.
That's pretty far.
Well, I grew
They can, yeah, sure, you know, my son wanted to build.
And you gotta go way out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a great one, I should.
So you need to get a shot. And so. Like a deer in the time, but they live on. And the idea of the data. Yeah. You're good. Oh, no, you're this. So much. I think it's actually, but also just when she the surgery. Like 1 year to 6 somebody, that was that. The bill. That she, that's one for deaths, because that bill, the I have days. Power, was when I went on the website, which it says, how do you don't have to be that here. There's a website where there's finally like slash. So. And it's and no witches because of. I thought, okay, we were just part of the reference when it's good. Part of it, then how does it mean? I don't know. So it's like, that's not, it's intermittent movement has. And when I drank so they'll so worth all. Have you ever done pineapple bakery? How many times? I'm telling you. It's crazy. It's not their bread. I tried to get on, I tried to sign up, it didn't work. So I don't mind. I'm gonna call them. So you can mix this on. Or says. You don't have to make your own, you don't need to. Join somebody else's. But.
Grandma used to say some people.
That's not process. Yes, there's your own setting up. If you could just. Put your. Yeah, which one is good? So. It's a great gift to movie, so. Uh-huh. You should talk about another house. Well, we are kind of. We are keeping our land out now. That's actually right, that's where it's called much easier.
Yes.
I mean, this is pretty much. You know, change.
Today's speaker species is the L-not-Willie Applegate.
Oh, God.
You don't want that.
Oh, I have it, that's good.
I have it.
A lot of stuff.
What's this stuff on?
No, you can tell. Very, very. You know,
They must not work.
It's the pest of the day.
Well, you know how important that is.
So that.
Yeah, right. It's
You gotta get it greened up, I guess.
They don't know if it's true. It'll be all right. It's
like you did turn aside today.
That's a child. And the day that.
So those are gonna be, yeah.
I try this, oh, okay, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet there's.
You go to places that it was very clear, there's one that had like, yes.
Yeah.
The barn,
Okay.
no, the barn, really, really good.
Take care of your shoes, my daughter, your clothes, they all that. I just call them. Oh.
Oh.
Okay, so they had something in check.
That's not bad, that's good.
Yeah,
No.
There is a. That's.
And was there study through them?
Well, I think
Yeah,
David
basically,
is.
the molecule, the charts are. They put in some of the elevator, like how you.
Yeah.
The elevator.
Sometimes they also.
Like, back to the approved soil, right? Not saying that you don't go in there and they're isolating themselves.
You know, I thought.
Yeah, they're going around, but in like in the
Yeah.
and then they
Begin taking off the branches.
My mom had what she called.
Yeah, it's like. Exactly.
Get them in there.
Yeah, so right across the Y, where the Y is. Yeah.
But the deer. That's way.
Oh, we were not.
That's the big counter. Oh, they get my house in the house.
I like this.
Yeah, I just started.
I got carried there. David was not.
No, but.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, yeah.
There's green dot across it.
Yeah, they're grass.
There's a green dot across the street.
Toby Estate.
Was there a little Excel?
From next now, you have over it. So that's just. First, if you turn right, I go in, there's.
I'm there all over.
Yeah.
It's.
It really is.
Right after, right when you come up the hill. So if you, so if you're on Clover, you turn right, you go to Plaza, over your home.
That's
You turn left, it goes on.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Got
Do they?
it.
And they haven't been.
Don't get her.
You got this. Well, in fact, and now I have aspiration. And I just had some choice lunch and it's for 30. You should all go and come back and whenever we get, well, it turns out they have closed that service at 6. Well, you know, they said, oh, we closed at 6. And I said, well, who's there?
There's a trail.
I moved along. What do you see? Lady, what do you want? I got you now.
That's like that. Yeah, so,
This section.
So they go on and use it.
My dark valley here.
I like.
Yeah, it's very.
I like it.
Not be someone.
Well, Yurian and I were kind of like schooling. Already got like.
I just wanted to get all files, so yeah, this, and she liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stanford Ryan was in it.
She said, well, you can hold other. So, which I should call, I mean, I look at. I said, I should call, I said, until, yeah, I know. Okay, you don't, spend all day on it, something there. I never thought of it. That was. We were working. You know, I initially, so anyway, so I did lost some. So I made some, one day to give a talk. You know, some time. And then I said, do you want to have it? And then I sent him to her and I go for it. She uses that like this.
I think she was.
Very innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was on the right side of the thing. Right, you're right. Or sometimes. Exactly.
Well, then I'm gonna cook.
Oh, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're adults is. Something with this one. And all one, what that's what we did, not right now. Like a ground. What's all the operation? Oh, there's the ground, so. It's like set aside stuff and. Yeah.
We're just chatting and now it's
Something that worked right now, but.
I read all the worst words. I worked this on this course. Well, course, I was never losing a number of community either. After I retired, and that's not working out well, you know, I'm not. And all these trees, scale and then your names. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah. And, oh, you got me coming.
Like everything's like it's back to.
Yeah, it's looking for real art. It's like, oh, that's not. Yeah. It, the skill is like.
All the time, the back.
The way it gets, like.
Oh,
He just like stage. He's just like.
They had a meeting today, where was I? You're supposed to get this stuff ahead of time.
That's like.
And then,
This world.
Yeah.
well, other stuff is done. What are we gonna do? Nothing is. You're supposed to make a block diagrams, it's like,
Patience, you know.
so it's great.
Yeah,
Oh, so that's the
muscle, right?
Trees.
Why we have meetings.
Parents.
We were so.
I used to say that a lot.
Right?
Little sunset.
It is a little.
But, yeah, there's, it attaches to, it's on the.
It's really like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a specific, like the magnolia scale, like 6 to next one.
I waited.
Yeah. So you notice like weight is so.
Yeah.
Well, a line,
Bring out excitement.
Yeah, we didn't notice that. It just like really repeat.
So.
Guys again looked at it, and like there's right stuff, kids, yeah,
Watch different of stone.
But yeah, this is.
So the apple trees that we saw.
They were apple trees, we were in, 2 people.
Right.
I sprayed our, and like. Sprayed them. Each tree's got this. Already.
How do you go backwards and stuff? That's when I was kids.
But yeah, we're them from Mason and this, you know, they're very trees, but they have this like shell on.
Right.
And that like they planted for.
I searched that.
It's gonna come back good.
I don't think there's like a.
Right, so yeah.
It's
So if you send some very good. Like regular spray.
And there's.
Then the next stuff.
Water
The
go down.
grants,
Standards, that's
it's
just.
just really like.
Yes.
I think I did come from now.
Yeah, they should do that. Talk to us, it should be. And that's really good to know. I get to know.
But really just.
Oh.
As they just.
Right.
Oh.
So.
We'll just go there.
It's like grandfather.
I
Originally just.
I don't know what I. I think trees get any crust.
So that is.
I know this plastic thing, yeah, I think it does look it sounds.
Let me go sometimes.
I've never.
But it also might be that. Those
There's always
raspberries,
something.
Their dates that don't pass.
Yes, bronze work is essential for.
But you might say, but if next year the. Are you
Very
ready
good.
for the
When I
fall?
filled in the item, I
Then it went hell.
was over the tree. And,
My spring ones still die back.
Yeah, there are.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
There's, and then they didn't want to do it there, so we filled it in, yeah, up over here, off this way. The gravel, so,
Oh, yeah.
and, well, And you get down on here, so you there's the street was like here, and Sylvan was like here. There's a basement window like here. It's like, I'm trying to figure out if the box is still in. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, that's
So I went
right.
in the initial for a couple of minutes. Then you just let it be on travel. Yeah. So my sister was related to that program in college, so.
You got the right stuff.
Some got kicked out.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
How, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Why?
This is.
Oh,
And I don't see my.
Oh, that's right. They said, I didn't write that. Yes.
Oh, really? You gotta, you know, it's. Somebody did.
As you're finding your. I love it. We never watched the Express. Yes.
A little bit.
I really.
But so you could go back, yeah, it's good, and I couldn't even go responsibilities. You just tell that guy. But my mother, you know, you go that way, and then you know, where you my mother, you get this way. So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, you know, they go,
I don't want, but I can't take, I don't think that you don't break rules.
we go to a car race in Bristol, Tennessee, not far from that.
Throw my back out.
No, we go there.
That's okay.
Oh.
So we can, that's right, it's just so far away.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, you're gonna meet this one. 10 hour drive. Bristol, Tennessee.
Oh, Bristol, yeah, right on that border that's in Virginia.
Yeah, my daughter and I walked all the way from Tennessee, Virginia. back.
I know. My dad, used to sort of, especially like in my shops, but all around the area. From South Korea, so they wouldn't be.
The company,
Right. So,
take on what.
one time, I went with them, and it was really cool, we went to these fine towns, it was unbelievable, I was way back, but there was a lot of already. But yeah, Bristol, that is a cool place to really do it.
Birthplace of the country. That's not cool. Yeah. But. I've been in the seventies. Okay. That.
I move to reopen the meeting.
I'll second.
Councilman Kais,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzo.
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
Aye. Public comment? 3 minute. Refresh it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelsey. I'm a resident on Middle Road. I have several agenda items that I wanted to quickly chat through this evening. Old business agenda item number 2 on the MOU. I personally support the MOU, but in general, I do think the board should take a little bit more time to flesh out some of the details before bringing it to a vote tonight. I'm not opposed, like I said, but just considerations of the 25-year agreement, that's just quite a long time. And it seemed like there may be some contingencies that could be considered, or even specifics about liabilities, for example, that I didn't notice in any of the language. So just wanted to comment that I do favor it in general, but think a few more details could probably be fleshed out. New business agenda item number 6. This is regarding the town supervisor being put forth as the appeals officer. I had already sent an email to the board with my concerns with this, but just to reiterate that voting the resolution to have the supervisor as an appeals officer does put the town at risk of conflict. And this is because our town code already cites the town supervisor and appoints him as a record access officer. And typically a person cannot serve in both of those roles without creating a conflict. New business agenda item number 7 on the release of the FOIL appeal. I am assuming that this agenda item is about the appeal that was submitted on June 8th. And if so, I'm glad to see it being discussed tonight. However, I would like to point out that there was a 6-week delay in the determination, and in that 6 weeks, no formal status update given regarding the timeline in which a determination would be identified. There were 2 meeting opportunities in that 6 weeks where it could have been discussed, so it's just unfortunate and a concern that the statutory deadlines that are set by both our town code and by the state were not followed through the appeals process. New business item, agenda item number 8, the Citizens Financial Committee. I do encourage the board to reconsider that resolution unless there's more specific guidelines on how folks or citizens are chosen to be part of that committee. It just seemed very vague in the resolution that's proposed. New business agenda item number 10 on the water quality improvement grant for the salt barn. I am glad to see that grant suggestions and grant opportunities that have been brought forth by residents who are concerned about water quality issues are being pursued. In general, I'm in favor of those things, but again, consideration on the $100,000 that is being offered to be put forth. And lastly, but not least, an agenda or an item that's not on the agenda list, which is related to the erosion and stormwater concerns for Middle Road that we've been talking about for over a year. Given the recent storms over the weekend, it is evident that the erosion concerns are unresolved. They are worsening. This weekend's storm was another example where the condition has gotten worse. And just to reiterate that the collective residents who are impacted by that erosion and previous flooding, they're still looking and seeking collaboration and partnership with the town to help implement corrective solutions for upstream changes to that overall drainage system. I know that was a lot, but I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mary Ellen, Middle Road, I'm here again. And I've got a bunch of things to talk about that aren't going to be quite as organized as Kelsey. The first one is about the FOIL request. And I encourage you to close out this portion of the situation that we've had on Middle Road. This was a simple request, should have been dealt with immediately, and it is really unacceptable that all this time has gone by. I just wanted to notify the board and mention to the board, and maybe the board could look at this for another time when they receive a FOIL request, is that if a FOIL request is not responded to without any good faith, which this has seemed to have been, Article 78 action is offered by the state to come out and make a federal case out of it, or a state case, I guess you'd say. And, it really becomes very frustrating when you have legal representation and legal repercussions, and yet you continue not to follow through. So I feel that's terrible. I'd also like to discuss the decreasing salaries for the town board members, which, if we remember, last year, this was also taken up and decided. And someone who shall remain nameless found the New York State Town Law 27(1). Salary cannot be reduced during a fiscal year once the adopted preliminary budget has been accepted. So I don't understand why it's once again on the agenda for tonight, and it's inappropriate. And whether or not you've decided to do it or not do it, you still haven't talked about any budget items. So how can you decide to reduce salary when you really don't know where you are in the budget? And I do remember, and I think I can quote this because it was pretty clear, the supervisor said Rush is in excellent financial shape and has over $1.5 million. And that was only about 6 weeks ago or less. So I think the town board is responsible for the budget. I think the town board has a lot of when they say fiduciary responsibility, you're supposed to be taking the tax dollars and all the other money that you receive from residents and other ways and means of finding funding and using it like it was your own, taking care of it, due diligence, all those things. And don't see a lot of that because we still don't see information about where you are in the budget right now. But it is something for you to consider that it really is inappropriate to decrease salary of sitting town board members. I'd like to also mention about having the volunteer committee for the budget, which you could always have a committee. You can hear from residents. That would be nice to invite residents in to talk to you about what they think you need on the budget. But there should be no appointees. Appointees only make it look like there's something to hide and that you're picking a chosen few to take care of things that you should be taking care of for yourselves. So I'm looking and asking for all of you to have transparency on the budget, have transparency on your work, have transparency when you're talking about things, because this is not a secret society. It is a town board. And you're representing a town code, a town, all of a sudden you got your phone working for you. Is that your phone?
I got it for the timer. I've been doing it for each meeting.
I haven't heard it before. My ears must be better.
I
Okay.
didn't go in last meeting.
Yeah, my ears have been bad. I'm glad to see the grant coming for the salt barn as Kelsey is in. There's one last thing I have to say, and I'd like to say I was very sad to hear that Christy Evans has left the town board, the town of Rush as an employee. And I think I will miss Christy, and I think she was very welcoming, knowledgeable, and disappointed that she's left, and she will be missed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karina Hayes. I'm a resident on Fishel Road. I came today to support the easement for the 100 Acres Park. We live just a couple miles from there, and my family's enjoyed using the park and going to some of the events, especially the events for my young kids. And I think it's just really important that we maintain the rural feel of this town. We don't want another town that's like another Henrietta. That's what's special about Rush is we have a lot of wild land. And I think that that's what the people of the town want, is to continue to have that and not turn into a big suburb. And I think if we don't protect this land, whether it's during, now or in 10 years, at some point there'll be a town board or other interests that want to develop that land. And it's a very important ecosystem to protect right there on the river. So I came here to voice my support to finalize that easement tonight.
Thank you.
Phyllis Wickerham, 105 Beyond Oak Court. I'm going to apologize in advance. I tried to get this down to 3 minutes, but it's 4. So I am here tonight to point out several red flags with the Rush RPA MOU that you need to consider before entering into this agreement. Based on the potential move toward a public referendum, the structural and financial risks between the town and the RPA deepen significantly. In a New York State, municipality of 5,000 residents, passing off legal drafting to an outside entity, shifting administrative decisions to a ballot referendum are major indicators of municipal capture. Your first red flag, missing financial tracking of the annual pledge. In 2019, MOU legally obligated the RPA to pledge $48.30 a year, payable starting that May 1st, specifically for that property. Did the town ever actually receive this money? Noting that grants were obtained. If the RPA failed to make these annual payments while continuing to operate on the land, they are in breach of the baseline agreement. It suggests a lack of financial oversight by the town administration, allowing the NGO to enjoy the benefits of managing public land without fulfilling its explicit, albeit small, financial commitment. Number 2, outsourcing of town legal counsel and resolutions. Outside individuals associated with the RPA are drafting the legal agreements and the town board resolutions rather than the town attorney. A town attorney's sole duty is to protect the municipality and its taxpayers. When an NGO drafts its own agreements and resolutions, the language is invariably structurally biased to protect the NGO's interests, secure its longevity, and maximize its liabilities. Allowing an outside group to dictate the legal framework of a municipal partnership bypasses standard checks and balances and can expose a small town to massive legal vulnerabilities. Number 3, exploitation of New York's public trust doctrine. The 26 management plan heavily references that the property is forever in public trust so that it will live into perpetuity for all generations to come. In New York State, parkland is protected by the public trust doctrine, meaning a municipality cannot sell, lease, or substantially alienate parkland without explicit permission from New York State Legislature. By positioning themselves as the long-term manager of a property bound by the public trust, the RPA is creating a situation where it is incredibly difficult for the future boards to remove them. They are using a rigid nature of New York's parkland laws to permanently anchor their private NGO to a public asset. Number 4, total absence of independent municipal audit clause. Section 4 of both 2019 and 2026 MOU states that I know I told you I was going to take 4 minutes. States, I heard you, states that the RPA is solely responsible for its funding and can utilize any public or private funding source it deems necessary. There is no provision in this MOU giving the town comptroller or an independent auditor the right to inspect the RPA's financial books. I told you, 4 minutes. If a private group is operating, I have 2 more points.
Okay.
If a private group is operating on town land, co-branding events with the town, and pulling in grants based on a municipal asset, the town must have oversight to ensure those funds aren't being misappropriated or misspent. The complete lack of financial transparency requirements is a massive compliance red flag. And lastly, bypassing civil service and prevailing wage laws, the management plan explicitly leans on an extensive volunteer network, student internships, and capstone projects to execute the physical care, construction, and maintenance of the park. In New York State, public works projects on municipal land are subject to strict labor laws, including prevailing wage requirements. By handing management over to an NGO that utilizes free student labor and private contractors under a volunteer umbrella, the town may inadvertently be exposing itself to the Department of Labor violations or union grievances regarding the outside sourcing of municipal park maintenance. I have 4 or 5 other issues that I think that you need to be very, very aware of. I will leave this with the town clerk so she can share it with you.
Thank you.
But I strongly think you need to table this, let your attorney do his due diligence in all of these points, and make sure that you are protecting our interests.
Thank you. Anyone else? So no further comments.
Respond to that. My name is Carol Barnett. I live in Rush. And I am on the Rush RPA board and I am speaking about the Rush RPA proposals. Can you hear me? I'm not sure you can.
Yeah.
Get a little closer. Thank you. Well, there were a lot of warning signals in that last talk, but we had the MOU for 7, 8 years now, and none of these dire things have come to pass. So that is a track record of sorts, and it's one of the things I want to talk to you about. Now, in doing its work, the town board makes a lot of decisions about money and about spending, and you try to do the right thing. It goes with the job. This proposal, these proposals don't cost anything. I was going to say the people who came before you to speak don't cost a penny, because I kind of thought there'd be people from the park, but none of us cost a penny. In fact, we have brought in tens of thousands of dollars in grant money and donations. We have added hundreds of thousands of dollars of value to the park. So you may find yourself wondering, what's the catch? There is no catch. What you see is what you get. Little old ladies working in a really big garden. That was my one attempt at humor. I'll stop there. But that's not all you get. You get Eagle Scouts and their families, school children from the Hindu temple, students from St. John Fisher and RIT and Geneseo and other colleges who aren't always on their devices, but instead want to be on the land. People insured by MVP who take walks for health in the park. U of R scientists who live in Rush and lead a mysterious bat walk every year. Experts who show us where medicinal plants grow in the park. Bird watchers, children taking a Hansel and Gretel walk. Officials from Monroe County Soil and Water who can't believe what we've accomplished at the park and give us extra trees over and above our grant allotment. Members of a DEC sub-basin group who, after meeting locally here in Rush, visited the park and now they want to partner with us. None of these things have a price tag. None of it costs anything, but it does have value. Now, I'm not suggesting that you all don't know that some things don't have to have financial worth to have value, but I am reminding you. The park also has financial value, if you want to look at it that way. People want to live in a town that has a park like this. They want to visit it. But the thing is, you could never accurately measure this financial benefit in cold, hard cash, and that's okay, but it still exists. Nevertheless, we're not asking for money, but we are asking for a lot. We're asking for 25 years. Why are we asking for so much? Because we don't want to be here. We want to be out in the park. I know I won't be here in 25 years, but I don't want to be back here in 5 years or 7 years asking for the same thing. And when 25 years comes around, we will be ready for it because we are creating a pipeline and a culture and a structure for new volunteers and leaders to emerge. If a town board member has misgivings or disagreements with what we are doing, the lines of communication are always open. There's nothing to be worried about here and everything to be excited about. The 100 Acres Nature Park is possibly the only nature park in the region and even the state that attempts as much as possible to foster native species, native plants, and the insects, birds, and other wildlife that depend on them.
Carol, I just want to let you know we're at 3 minutes. I'm going to give you a little extra time, just like I did with Phyllis, to finish up your last thoughts, okay?
Okay, I think I may back up a little bit. The 100 Acres Nature Park is possibly the only nature park in the region or even the state that attempts to foster native species, native plants and the insects, birds, and other wildlife that depend on them and that are so endangered and so crucial to our own food supply. We want to be the best such park anywhere, and we invite everyone and anyone to be involved, including the town board. We ask you please to vote for our proposals. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
How you
Good
doing
evening.
up there? I spoke with our town attorney and asked if I was speaking for my sweetheart Shirley. Did that mean I have double time?
Can't hear you. Bring it up.
Do I have double time if I'm also speaking for my wife? And I was told politely by Mr. Zoglin, no, you have to stay at 3 minutes, and I'll stay well under 3 minutes. My name is Michael Talon. I live on Stony Brook Road, and conservation, preservation. I don't want to lecture you, but it's just part of how I want to live life. And I've seen some really good things happening over in the 100 acres that I'd like to see the town continue. There's some leadership here, and I understand political process and concerns and reservations, but this is a marvelous piece of land. From my experiences over the 6 years that I've been a member of this organization and been over there, it really is something to behold, and I think an example for many other places around here to mirror. But it's a beautiful place, and I have a legal background. I've read this stuff. Nothing seems offensive to me here. I'm not the town attorney, but I'm just looking at it. I think it's clear. I think the lines of communication are there. It presents affirmative obligations by the organization, okay, to do certain things. In other words, there's accountability over the course of whatever term you may choose to extend. And I can understand why 25 years seems big, but at 75 years, it moves pretty quick, and to be able to do some planning and continuity with a decent organization is, I think, very important to continue this. But enough. I think preservation, conservation is really what's important here. And I hope you agree. I hope you vote for it. And I appreciate your time very much. Thanks, folks.
Anyone else? No other comments? We'll move forward. No transfer of funds or approval of regular workshop. Regular meeting, regular workshop, June 29th, 2026. Meeting, minutes.
You want a second?
I do.
So that was for the June 29th workshop?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Okay, yes.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Is it June 29th or June 24th?
there's two of them.
Oh, okay. Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Abstain.
Supervisor Hankins,
Approve.
Workshop.
Okay, we did workshop. Approval of minutes, workshop meeting, July 8th, 2026. And
You need a second.
yes,
Right. I'll second.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Abstain.
Supervisor Hankins,
approved. Transfer of funds, none.
I think we have to do the June 24th
Oh, right.
regular meeting
Okay.
as well.
Oh, okay. That's where I had the mistake yet, because it moved to 29. Sorry about that. Regular meeting minutes, June 24th, 2026.
I'll second.
Councilman Kais,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Well, I have to disagree with the resolution as it's worded. Because based upon my understanding, Councilmember Brown stated that the town board should look into the town employee handbook in regard to the references on emailing. And it doesn't word them.
As the resolution will pass regardless, I'll still comment that I was the one to motion to add a email policy, and it was seconded by Councilmember Brown. He may have or may not have made that comment. I don't remember it, but he still seconded it and the motion passed. So a policy was to be created.
A policy was to look into the employee handbook because it didn't cost any money to do that, and then make a decision.
There's no such thing as a policy to look at our.
Well, not a policy, but it was said. We should look at the employee handbook and see what it says. Because that way we don't have to pay it. It doesn't cost anything to look at it and see what it says. And that's what the resolution should have said, but it didn't say that.
So you voted no on looking at the employee handbook? Because you voted nay that meeting.
The resolution came up, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
No. I approve it as is, and I think it's a majority vote. So even if you vote nay, the minutes stand.
The minutes are wrong. They don't say what Councilmember Brown said. That's what I'm disagreeing with. And I would like to have those changed. And I would like to table that until it's changed.
We already voted.
Well,
Is there a motion?
Yeah.
Voted for the resolution based upon what you said.
Well, if there's a
But it
motion.
wasn't
and
written that
seconded, then
way
They can have the vote.
in the
But if
minutes.
There's not been a
That's what
majority
I'm
to
saying,
modify the minutes,
Councilman.
then. And you have the minutes.
Because
that
we were supposed to
voted
look into,
We already voted yes. As is.
I think you should say something.
You made the motion, Luther seconded it. We all voted.
If the minutes were approved already, then they've been approved. If you'd like to make a motion to modify the minutes, you can.
I'd
If they
like,
haven't been approved yet and you'd like to modify the proposed resolution to have the minutes be modified before adoption, you can do that.
I would like to have the minutes modified. I'd like to make that motion.
Does anyone have a
To
second?
be what they,
And the conversation was to read through the employee handbook, and David did bring up that he was gonna work on a policy that would reflect email use.
I do remember too, Derek, you saying as long as it doesn't cost us anything.
That's because if we went to an outside firm for a provision, it would cost money. So it was to save money for us to review. And David made the mention that he would adopt or build a policy to go along with it. That was the conversation.
And you received it a couple weeks ago, and I've emailed 6 times for input.
So what's your amendment, so I can understand it
Yeah.
better?
my amendment
Supervisor?
is to put into that resolution or the minutes what Councilman Brown said, because what Councilman McGlashan has put on the table isn't legal.
Are you disagreeing over what the resolution was on June 24th, like what the language was?
Yes.
I mean.
No,
you
I'm
could have-
disagreeing with what was written in the minutes
Right, so
about the resolution.
you think that the actual
The
language of the
resolution
was
was,
different.
the resolution was to look into the handbook.
Can I make a recommendation? Why don't you have, you can table the June 24th meeting minute approval. And until the next meeting, and then have the clerk take a look at the video to see exactly what the resolution was. And then there won't be a debate about, this is what I remember it being, this is what I remember it being. She can report, I watched the video, this is the language of the resolution. That's put in the
I
minute.
would like to have that happen, to table it. So that we can really look at what the handbook says and what the law says. So I would like to table it until the next meeting.
So just before you're able to table it, were the minutes approved?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Well,
you would need to
I
make
didn't
a-
realize that we were approving the minutes at that time.
So since the clerk has said that the minutes were approved by vote already. If you wanted to amend them, you'll have to make a motion to amend.
I would make a
But-
motion to amend the minutes that were just approved.
You would need a second and then a majority to get that.
I like your idea about looking at the YouTube video and making sure that we're more specific. So I don't know if that fits into this framework or not.
Essentially, if you want to wait and not act on it now, then you would just not second and not vote to in accordance with his resolution. If you agree with his resolution, then you would second and vote affirmatively.
I just need more information.
The supervisor and I talked offline because I wanted an answer for my 6 emails that it was not on the agenda. He said the YouTube did not say it. I went back and viewed it, and I think this is an accurate representation of what both I and Councilmember Brown here said. We wanted a policy. I was to draft it so that we wouldn't spend money on an outside source. We did have to have approval because I say every agreement should, or policy should be viewed by an attorney. It has been checked by the attorney. Anyone else could have weighed in through those 6 emails. I think we have a data breach. It's important that we close that breach. Almost every municipality, I was researching, all our neighboring towns have a policy on technology. School districts have a technology policy. We're no different. We should have the same thing for our
And the town
employees.
of Rush has a technology policy. It's right here. And
Doesn't talk about
Councilman
emails.
McClashen doesn't have the right to make law for the town of Rush.
It's not a law.
And I would like to table this until we can prove that he doesn't have that right and to prove that we have everything that we need right here in our handbook.
I actually have contacted the Association of Towns because.
So did I.
Well, great, you didn't share.
And I also contacted.
No, please, I was talking. I contacted them because that's our legal service that doesn't cost us something. They weighed in. You said you had volunteers. They said you are permitted to have volunteers if they are approved by the town board. Those need to be officially approved. You are allowed to use a secretary. I followed up with them on it. That's their answer. So I don't know why we would be associated with the Association of Towns if we're not taking their legal advice. Which is free. Well, we already pay our membership fee.
Well, their legal advice says a lot of things, but also the law says something different.
Which law?
29,
29 of what?
law 29.
Law 29 of what?
I'm not in the business of explaining to you laws. You have to ask Jake that.
So law 29, do you know which law 29 is that? Rush, Monroe County, New York State, the federal law?
I would need a little bit more clarity about what is being referred to, and I'd be happy to look into it.
And
if you'd
this
like.
is what I'm saying. We need to table this until we can make sure that whatever law Councilman McGlashan is bringing to the town board
Not a law.
is legal. Whatever code he's bringing to the
Not a
town
code.
board to change, whatever he's bringing to the town board to change, we need to do a lot more research on that.
Internal policy. It's
We
an
need-
internal policy,
we
not a
need-
code, not a law.
We need to look a lot closer into that because the information that I have received is totally different than the way he wrote his code up.
But this isn't what we're voting on. We're voting if we were going to develop a policy.
So
And you don't trust our
I would-
legal
I
counsel
would
either
like-
that weighed in on it?
I would like to table that until the next meeting, when we have time to do more research on it.
Can't, it's a workshop.
And we can bring up a workshop and do whatever we need to do with that.
Then let
I
me be
hear
voted.
kind
I
of two
think-
different things. I hear one, and a question about whether the minutes are accurate and your desire to potentially amend the minutes.
The
The
minutes,
other issue is whether or not you're happy with the resolution that was adopted on June 24th and potentially revising that resolution. So I'm not sure what you guys want to do, but it would take
Well-
a resolution of the board to do either of those things.
Well, I would like to put that on the table and have a resolution of the board to do that. And I get a second. Resolution for.
Which one?
Right now, we're still in the minutes, I believe.
To change the minutes.
Okay.
And to look at the minutes to make sure. Because based upon what happened, the minutes doesn't express that. Councilman Brown made a statement. And that should have been a part of the resolution,
I don't
that
think,
we would review the handbook.
Understood.
We make a lot of
like-
comments. I mean, we make comments on everything.
Right.
I don't
but-
think it's imperative that we pass the minutes tonight.
We already did.
There are,
Well, we can motion to change it.
Oh, I just
That
thought.
was a misunderstanding on my behalf.
It'd be a big deal
We
to,
would-
just to understand it better, that's all. You have the votes, I'm just saying, you have the votes.
I know, I'm just saying regardless of the outcome. The discussion was that night to review the employee handbook and see whether there's a policy around email use.
Right, and from that, Councilman McGlashan went out and wrote his own law.
He didn't write his own law. He was writing a policy that should be incorporated to the handbook.
Well, and the policy,
And we're not
My
voting on
opinion.
that, we're just voting on the minutes.
well, the minutes is what I'm asking, that we have a resolution, a vote rather, to change the minutes as they should be.
I, th-
No, I didn't second it, but we're not gonna get the votes anyway, I'm not gonna.
No,
we're not.
nothing else.
No, it's already passed. That's what I wanted.
It's already
passed. That's what I wanted to do with there.
So-
Is table it.
if I may, I think that a motion was made out, so let's back up. A motion was made to adopt the minutes and approve them. It was approved. A motion was made to amend the minutes. That question is on the table, and I think at this point, there either needs to be a second and a vote, or the board should move to the next item on the agenda.
I think we passed
Do I
the
get a
minutes, we
second?
should move on.
Do I get a second?
I can't vote to amend the minutes because I have to go back and look at the YouTube video. So if I were to say yes, I don't mind going in and looking at the YouTube video to satisfy what the supervisor is asking.
But there was
It's
no,
still,
There's no
there,
no.
We're not.
I'm just saying,
And when I but when I personally called all of you and all of you understood that I was creating a policy, why was there not a question then? I've even called you supervisor. And there wasn't a question though as to why a policy was coming. It was either, yep, I voted for the policy, or no, I didn't vote for the policy. And then I asked, did anyone have any input? 6 times and a verbal time. I do my due diligence.
The way that was done, it should have been done in a workshop. It should have been done in a workshop. Where the board spends the time reviewing all of the facts and all of the laws governing what you are trying to get the board to agree to.
So you waited till tonight to tell me that.
Yes, I waited until you brought something to the town board that you weren't supposed to bring.
No, that was last meeting.
Well, that's a debate that's, I'm not gonna get into.
Okay.
Do I
I'm
get
fine
a
with that.
second for, do I get a second or no?
The public should really remain quiet, please. I have.
I so move, having reviewed all vouchers on abstract 7-2 dated
Thank you.
July 22nd, twenty
Thank you, Derek.
twenty-six, authorized payment totaling $122,160.40, which includes funded AA General for $40,946.33. DA Highway Townwide for $74,634.25. HH Capital Projects for $299.31. And LL Library for $6,280.51. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I will mention before we vote that it was a large amount, but that was because we paid a bill to Suit Coat for the road work that was done on Wardell, Botwood, Harvest, and Farmcrest, and that does come back to us in the CHIPS funding.
Councilman Kais,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McGlashan,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Yes. Report from board members?
Nothing to report.
Last month I attended the planning board meeting for a subdivision that'll be coming up to of a lot. That'll be coming to this month's planning board meeting as well. It's located over at Rush Henrietta Town Line Road and East River Road. I also finally got a meeting with the Dean of Monroe County or MCC and the residents over near the Stony Brook Gun Range. It was very enlightening. We got to learn who owns the property, who's responsible for the scheduling. MCC showed that they were willing to start making improvements, but alas, they are not the ones that get to dictate everything on the property. So we actually have to go to the county management for that, and we'll be setting a meeting with our legislator to talk with him about it. And then also we'll probably have to talk with the public safety commissioner for our county. But some of their suggestions for some of the sound, which if you want to know a little bit, will be brief. 1993, this started with about 50 days of shooting this range. Throughout the time, we've had helicopter drops. There was the tire house that was proposed. This property has had a lot of things coming to it. And now we're up to an allotment of 189 days allowed for shooting. They're doing typically around 160 if you round. And think about it, they're stuck in their homes all winter and they're not allowed to shoot during the winter. It starts right in the spring and ends in fall. So not only are they inside during the winter, they're inside during their times. They could be enjoying their retirement outside. These are not residents that just moved into the community. These are residents that actually built their homes 80s or prior or moved into the community. So it's not that they were surprised, because then they might have a lawsuit on their hand for sound pollution. So I've really looked a lot into this matter, still following up to represent them. And we're not done, but I'm glad that we made some steps forward. Also, well, I'll just keep it brief because we have a lot, but I've just been following up with a lot of different residents on some of these agenda items as well. Oh, and I was in the process, I guess, of creating a policy for emails for the town. Thank you.
I can go next.
Okay.
So, just, as all the board members are, just, I know David, we have attended two workshop meetings, that we just approved. There was no zoning board meeting this week, this month, so I didn't have to go to that. And just various meetings and things like that, nothing of specificity too much. I do want to bring up the data centers, very concerned again about the data centers. I know that the governor has passed a moratorium, but I'm not really sure if it's as strong or if I need more information. Is it really going to cover us? There's going to be some stipulations, as I understand it, but I really would like to give a resolution to have the attorney look at the data centers and how it could affect the town of Rush. I know that it could deplete well water, a lot of water depletion. It's a drain on the power grid, and they use lots of megawatts. And there could be noise pollution and air pollution associated with it. So, I guess I just want the attorney, I want to give them the right to look into what's going to give us the best protection for data centers in our town.
Can I add something? Because you just
Yes.
refreshed my mind. Yesterday I did write a letter to the town of Henrietta on behalf of, well, as a council member. Because tonight, I wish I could have attended the meeting. They will be having a public hearing on data centers and updating their code. So I sent them a letter cautioning them on where they permit these things. And saying that we share a lot of green spaces on our border because it could affect our residents adversely. So I strongly cautioned them in what they're developing. I did listen in on the meeting on the way over just for 15 minutes. They did read my letter aloud. And things to look at, especially if you want to pay attention, because you have the right to attend their meetings as well, especially if something is going to affect you and you live on their border. Supervisor Schultz was discussing sizing of data centers. He said they weren't the big ones. They were the 150 acre size ones. That's pretty large to me still. So I would definitely attend meetings going forward and express your right as a Rush resident neighboring them on how you could be adversely affected. And it's the right to speak, and you have the right in New York to do that. Thank you, Councilmember Rizzo, for giving me time.
Thank you for doing that, David. I was done.
Yeah. Those are-
Wow, I'm just glad to be back from casino.
Good to have you. back.
Thank you.
The, not a lot to report. I did attend the town board via Zoom. I could not make the, conservation board, due to technical difficulties. And, I called and let them know I wasn't gonna be making it, so that worked out okay. But, not a lot to report on my end, just, go forward here.
No, just takes 1 minute. I left a book in my office that I need to show to the town.
It would have to be western and solution space.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Sure.
I attended the open house on Saturday afternoon at Surya Vaidya Temple, and they were celebrating the 250-year event. I thought it was quite a good opportunity, and it was really a great showing that they had. They had over 300 people that came. Quite a few people from the town of Rush were there, but they also made me aware, to make the town community aware, that they do serve meals 2 times a day, 7 days a week, and the public is welcome. That organization, I'm told, served over 75,000 meals a year around the country and in the town of Rush. I attended the library board meeting last night. They have finished their tentative budget, and hopefully we'll be getting into the town soon. Also, on August 20th, between 5 and 7 p.m., there's going to be a fundraiser for the library at Warner Farm. The Association of Towns created a new book. The New York Association of Towns published the Foundation of Freedom book this month. The book is an anthology celebrating New York town's roles in shaping America the past 250 years and beyond. This book is a collaborative effort where information was requested from all municipalities across New York State. The entry for the town of Brush is on page 93 and 94. And this is the book. The town historian has it, and I'm sure she would really be willing to share it with all of us.
That's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I also was a part of the meeting with the college in reference to the shooting on 5 Points Road area. And I will also be a part of that meeting once it's scheduled. When the supervisor secretary is back, she will be working to schedule that meeting somewhere around August the 8th. It will be happening. And I'd like to thank Councilman McGlashan for his hard work in trying to put all of this together for us and working with the people in the area. And that's all that I have on. Town clerk.
The only thing that I have right now is unfortunately, we did receive resignation from the secretary for the supervisor. She's on vacation this week and will be back 2 weeks after that, but as seen on the agenda, we'll be advertising for a new one.
And it's so unfortunate for the town, but she was hired by the school district of the town of Henrietta as the assistant to the assistant principal of one of the schools. So good luck and good luck to her. Town attorney.
No new litigation. There's been a dog case that's been referred to town attorney for prosecution. I'm aware that another one has been or will be referred to the town attorney for prosecution. I have not received the files for the second dog matter, but I anticipate that coming through. Been addressing questions about amending the legal services agreement with the town, address questions on the RRPA, and other issues that have come up from either the town clerk or the town board members. No litigation.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Old business. Resolution to schedule public hearing for Town of Rush and Rush Recreation and Park Association conservation easement for the 100-acre park.
I wanted to read this resolution, but I will be recusing myself from the vote. I wholeheartedly support it, of course. It's an all volunteer effort. The board does have insurance and is covered in that way, and they're always working toward enhancing the property, enhancing the safety of the property, and volunteers sign agreements, what's it called, a hold harmless agreement. And we are doing our due diligence in making things safe and doing the very best to give this gift to the town. But I can't read this conservation easement, but it does start on resolution. It does start on page 9, if someone could read it for us. And then there's 2 of them. One is the conservation easement itself, which would have to also have a permissive referendum, a public hearing, and also a seeker. But I can't read those, so I'm just going to pass it on to someone who would be willing to read it on page 9, and you can shorten it, and I think Jay can tell us how to shorten it.
Yeah, since the resolution is in the agenda, if you're okay with the resolution as written, you can reference the resolution in the agenda rather than reading it all the way through like we've done. I've mentioned that in the past. You're free to do that for any resolution that's available to the public.
First or second?
I don't know. I gotta tell you, I'm in favor of tabling this. I'm in favor of the park. I'm in favor of the conservation deal, but there's a lot of questions that came up across through emails that I think we still need to address and make sure that we're in the right of, not in the right of not doing it, but making sure we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's, because Jake brought up some good points. And I don't want to jeopardize it by putting it to a vote tonight. I think if we can table it, I don't know if there's some deadline that there's supposed to be or something, but I think it's in the better interest of the park and of the town to make sure we're doing this right. And that's why I say it that way. I guess that's no other way of saying it.
I wanted to get a sense of if there's anything else you'd like to see in this. What we did was took the questions from the board and also from the attorney. And I don't know if Carol wanted to say something about how you integrated the answers and then ran it by the attorney again to see if it was amenable to that. Would you like to tell? I don't know if you wanted her to get on. But perhaps maybe you've got something you want to add to it and you let us know.
I'm gonna add, I just think that as of right now, it was written by the Park Association, and I'm gonna call it the Park Association, Treaty Association. And it definitely favors the town's not gonna take this property away. I get that. But the town still has a responsibility of overall global management of it, right? And we want to see it succeed. I want, there's nobody at this table that doesn't want to see it succeed. But town still has a responsibility to the state of New York to make sure it maintains the park. And there's some potential what ifs there. And I know that when I talked to our lawyer and other conversation with people, I just think that we need to make sure that we're comfortable in turning this over and doing a 25 or, a lifetime. Basically, we're doing a lifetime thing here. And I think that's a big cup of water to swallow at one time. I have to make sure we're doing it right. And I know that we asked the lawyer, we've had table conversations here. Last time we were talking about this. We wanted to have feedback from our lawyer, and we were told to ask our questions. I'm not a lawyer. I don't read
Right.
contracts.
Right.
We have a lawyer to tell us what's good and what's bad. So, and I have not only seen a few emails from him coming back on this with concerns. And we have not addressed any of that. And I think it would be very foolish to continue this without sitting down and having him telling us exactly what's going on with this contract.
Jake, you had an opportunity to look at it and listen to the questions of the board members and.
So earlier today, I responded to an email. It might have been either from Pam or Lee, that there were 4 questions was there 4? Was it Lee? Might have been Lee. There was an email asking me to respond to a handful of questions that were referenced in the guide in the agenda. I went through, and this had to do with the RRPA matter. So I went through and I looked at each of the 4 questions that were identified, and I responded to each of the 4 of them. As I understand it, those are all of the outstanding questions that the town board members have shared with me. So my understanding is that we've addressed the questions that related to the MOU, and the one follow-up that I had was it would be good if the town could obtain a survey of the property in question so that I can give a copy to real estate counsel to compare the legal description in the proposed easement to a survey, just to make sure that we are conveying an interest in the right piece of land. But other than that, I believe that I've raised my concerns regarding the other parts to the board, and any parts that they've requested feedback or, updates on, we've addressed. There were 3 or 4 issues that I responded to in that email. So the only one that's kind of outstanding from my perspective was with the, we really should have a survey so we can make sure that the description is accurate. And that'll be part of what I give to real estate counsel when they review the easement to make sure that it gets the sign off from them.
Carol, but you can have a few minutes to come up to talk.
Come up, please.
You can come up and present your case there.
Confused because we talk about the attorney and the attorney's right here and he says he's addressed these questions. So, he's here to talk to. But I feel like I'm in a position where the implication has been made that I should not be contributing materials to this. But what I will say is, no matter who drafts something, what matters is whether the town board approves it and whether the attorney passes on it. It doesn't matter where things begin. This happens all the time in legislation. And so at any rate, let me just say the 4 things that Jake is referring to are the things that were raised either by this board or by the attorney. One was, we thought that there was a sense that, well, what if the Rush RPA fell short on its duties? What would happen? And so we looked in the MOU and we found the dispute resolution clause and we made it stronger and more robust. It gives a timeline and a process to follow if there is a disagreement or a failure of the meeting of the minds between the 2 parties. And that is one change that was made in the MOU. The other thing is, and the attorney said, that looks good to me if it's okay with the town board. Now I'm hearing the town board say, well, it might look good to us, but it has to look good to the attorney. So we have everybody together here. Maybe we can make some progress. The other thing is that the other of the 4 points is the Nature Park Management Plan is attached as a document to the MOU. This is just a clerical matter, but it's referenced in the MOU, so it should be attached. The conservation easement has the deed coordinates inserted in it. That was another change. As for the survey, nobody in our organization ever saw a survey. That's got to be something that the town has, whether it's the town clerk. We're totally powerless to supply a survey because we've never had one. And so maybe, I don't know who should have communicated that need to which party, but now what I want to point out is, this is another change. There are 2 resolutions. Nobody is asking us to pass the conservation easement tonight. There are a lot of things that have to happen. And as the attorney just reminded us, the survey is one that slipped my mind because the other things that have to happen is that there has to be a public hearing, and I'll tell you why in a minute. There has to be a seeker review, and there has to be, after it's passed, if it should be passed, there has to be a period of time when someone can ask for a referendum. Well, that's called a permissive referendum, but that time period doesn't begin until it's passed. But as for the survey, there's plenty of time to take care of that. This is going to take a few meetings. And so instead of there being a single resolution, the resolution is merely to advance the conservation easement, meaning in concept, this sounds like a good idea. You haven't passed it. You haven't committed yourself irrevocably to it. The other thing I want to say is that the attorney raised a question as to whether there needed to be New York State legislative approval for a change to the deed, and getting a conservation easement is a change to the deed. Now, I did contact the New York State Office of General Services, which was the New York State agency that transferred the land to us. And they said they have no problem with a conservation easement. I also contacted them and I said, look, we're not asking you for legal advice, but do you think we need New York State legislative approval? And they said, well, we don't think so, but, you know, we're not experts in parkland alienation. Parkland alienation means you can't take something out of parkland, which is the very opposite of what we're doing and a little bit counterintuitive, but as our attorney pointed out, strictly speaking, we're making a change to the deed. Strictly speaking, maybe you need New York State legislative approval. But however, because what we're proposing, which is to add a conservation protection to the land, it is in keeping with public trust doctrine. And parkland alienation is nothing but an enactment of public trust doctrine. Because this easement, this conservation easement would advance public trust document, it's in keeping with the deed and it comports with park purposes. For all of those reasons, we do not need to seek New York State legislative approval. But what we do need to do is establish a public record of support for the conservation easement. And therefore, we should have a public hearing and a comment period. And that sounds just great to us. So that's another thing that is stipulated in the resolution that we will seek, that we will have before there is any passing of the conservation easement, a public hearing, a seeker review, and after it passes, a permissive referendum. Those are the changes. Some of them are just clerical changes. Really, the only substantive changes were adding a dispute resolution clause to the MOU, and also taking the conservation easement and delaying the process by adding a public hearing requirement out of the recognition that strictly speaking, this is a change to the deed and it should be considered very carefully. Thank you.
I don't think I mind putting the public hearing forward as the attorney worded it. He did adjust the wording slightly just to make it better. Especially eventually that would come up to the public to decide, and I don't mind the public to deciding things and talking about stuff, so I don't see an issue, at least with the public hearing moving forward. Because then the public can come out, say if they want it, say if they don't. Ultimately, too, if you look, since it's public land, if eventually this passes the conservation easement and whoever down the road, say it's 100 years from now, doesn't want it, they would have to go through a public process again and a public vote. And if the public 100 years from now says, oh, we want a skyscraper there, I hope not. I won't be here in 100 years, but that's how they would have to go the process. So there's a lot of layers to it. So I don't mind going forward as the attorney writes it. It's very similar to this, and I can read this to do the public hearing. I guess I'll read it, but you guys can second it out. So how he words it says, I move to authorize the town to convey to the RRPA an interest in real property owned by the town in the form of a conservation easement as set forth herein and subject to a permissive referendum and the procedures for the same established under New York State town law. But I need to add some stuff, so let me know what I need to add.
You're moving to hold a public hearing on.
Yes, to move the public hearing. Sorry, I left that out.
That's
Moved, so let me, give me the wording that I need to add to the beginning of that. You got a couple typos here, but.
To schedule and notice a public
Okay.
hearing on what you said.
So again, I'll say it again. I move to schedule a public hearing. For, and now I can read this.
Schedule and notice.
And notice a public hearing for the town board to authorize the town to convey to the RRPA an interest in real property owned by the town in the form of a conservation easement as set forth herein and is subject to a permissive referendum in the procedure for the same established under New York State town law. Do I have a second?
A second.
Councilman Kais,
On the question, this is not approving the contract, just
No.
just a public hearing.
Yep.
Aye.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
I support it. I have to recuse myself. I'll abstain.
Councilman McGlashan,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
Aye. Okay. What number was
Well,
that?
Jake, I wonder if you can speak to the memorandum of understanding. We're now on the memorandum.
I know, but I was asking David for something else. Went down to new business too.
I know that,
Done.
Nope.
is there anything that you, when you looked at it, did you find it to be cogent, to be legal? Does it, can you just
So,
look it over? Because we asked you to look it over.
right, so the town board asked me to review it. I had initially reviewed and, provided my comments and questions to the board. In following up from that, there were 4 questions that spanned across the conservation easement and the MOU that we responded to. I believe that, like we mentioned, or like Carol mentioned, one of the issues was the dispute resolution process. Another issue had to do with attaching a plan. So once those issues were addressed, it just kind of lays out the relationship between the town and the RRPA with respect to maintenance of the area. So
I think sorry, I think I left out the date for my public hearing. I'm so sorry. If everyone's okay with amending this, that it's gonna be on the 26th day of August, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road.
Did you
Is
say
that
7:15?
7? Just put it at the beginning, then we can start whenever we're ready. You can be late, you can't be early.
Yeah, there we go.
So. Yeah.
no, no, you don't need it. That's for the real estate council's review. No, not for conducting the public hearing. Yeah.
But maybe that can be found here in the town hall someplace. So I can't say that, but it
We're
should
working on
be
it.
here in the town hall. Okay. Resolution to advise for.
We need a second for the setting the public hearing.
We already did.
Date.
We already did. He just
No,
amended.
I just said, is everyone good that
Right,
voted
yeah.
yes
No, we-
to amend it with the date and time?
Okay.
All right. Resolution to advise for assistant dog control officer
Wait, hold on a second.
to advertise, I'm sorry.
We're still at number 2.
We table that for to be able to have the public hearing.
Oh, no, that was for the conservation easement. So
No, a lot of questions on that MOU,
well, that's what you said.
survey and.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's how we settle that issue, is by having the public hearing.
The public hearing is for the conservation easement. So what do you want to do about the memo of understanding? Do you want to,
Combine them.
We'll combine them.
well, they're 2 separate issues, but what? No, but what I'm saying is, what else, other questions you need answered, or what other things you'd like to bring to the memo of understanding before you would think of wanting to approve it?
Well, I know the contractors that this new MOU, they're basically, the town of Rush has got very little power. But yet, who's gonna maintain, like, they need a tree taken down, or they need a road or driveway plowed, is the town gonna do it? Or who's gonna take care of it? And what if, and I say what if, something happens to the group and the property falls into disrepair? Does the town get it back? Because there's a contract right now, we don't even get it back. We have no authority of anything on this. So it's, and I get it. I'm not trying to minimize the group. I think they do a lot of work. But there's absolutely 0 safeguards for the town to help step in anywhere if it's needed. If you should fail, the town cannot go in and help based on this contract. I know it's frustrating.
Well,
The town owns the property.
The town owns the property.
Right.
And
And we're giving you use of it to make a tree. and-
we also take.
Park out of it.
for it.
Right, but the contractor, as I understand it, and I'm not a lawyer, that's why we got him. Right, but as I read the MOU,
Has there been a
It's-
problem over the last 6 years?
it favors everything that you.
It isn't any.
No one-
Well, it's just extended forward in time. It's
Wait.
virtually the same. As there is. This is the-
Luther, we have already made some moves on that.
Alright.
We have made for the MOU to have a public hearing.
Right.
So that's,
That was for the conservation easement.
No one's gonna hear.
Yeah, if you're gonna talk, you have to come up here. With the
well,
supervisors.
we've talked about this.
But-
If you want to put that up for a vote,
No, I understand. All I'm gonna say is, I think we need to have whatever you feel need answering to ask the attorney and have Rush RPA answer the questions so that you can get to where you want to go with this. And we don't have to do it tonight. You'd like to table it. I understand that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna table it, and I think wouldn't hurt to have a public hearing on the thing anyway.
This would
Well,
be a back and,
But I
but
have a
we
question.
are going to be having a public hearing on the MOU.
no, the public hearing is on the conservation easement. Yes. Did she come up?
I just want, I mean, I'm not gonna, I just want to say, I mean, maybe we should ask the attorney what he thinks. Maybe it should be a public hearing on both. I don't know. I don't know.
The town can have a public comment session on the MOU if it likes. It's,
What would that be a separate?
if it would like to invite comment because it feels like it wants the public's input to make its decision, it can do that.
Mhm.
The purpose of the public hearing with respect to the conservation easement is a little bit more important because
Right.
it will help
Right.
build a record
Yeah.
to make the factual determinations about whether the public trust doctrine requires state legislative approval or not. But that issue is not
Yeah.
present with respect to the MOU.
Maybe we shouldn't confuse the issues by making it.
But
I don't know.
It's up to the board. The board, like it does with comment sessions during their meetings. Even if a public hearing is not required by law, can certainly invite the public through a public comment session to share their opinions. That's, the board does that pretty frequently and that's fine.
But isn't that sort of what we do at every meeting?
It is.
Yeah.
It's not a public hearing, it's a public comment session. And just like they do at every public meeting, they have the ability to invite the public to provide such comments or not.
Well, it sounds to me like the board wants to table this until the
But-
public hearing is held also.
Well, the public hearing is gonna address just the conservation easement unless we, I guess I want to know is, how do we make this happen to satisfy you? Other than having the attorney, you said last time, the attorney's gonna look at it, if we're gonna get his blessing. Well, I think Carol worked out, and with the questions from the board members, the attorney looked at it. He came up with, an understanding that this was okay. However, you're saying something, and then and that's what Carol mentioned earlier, a dispute settlement. Let's say there's a tree that has to come down. But what else are you gonna need so that we just don't have this kind of like floating in the clouds? So we know, there's a dispute settlement, the parties come together, they
I
decide.
guess what it boils down to, if I'm buying a house, I let my lawyer look at the contract and tell me what's right and wrong. Right? We were asked to ask our lawyer what we thought and what we pick out. He came back with a few points because somebody had asked him about it. I'd like our lawyer to look over that contract and come back to us with a list of things that he may or may not agree with. And what's right for the town, because he protects the town. That's the bottom line.
And that's what I
And-
thought he did.
That's what he did.
He did that.
And like I say, we have a couple of things that I picked out, and I'm like, say, I'm not a lawyer. But we have very little rights once we sign this MOU over.
Well,
They really control the property. And,
well, actually, what you're giving us is a whole lot of work to do.
pardon,
We're giving us a whole lot of work to do.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
Well,
the town itself, and I gotta divide the town, because you got the park, you got the town,
Yeah. Well,
funds, the highway department, everything else.
Luther, we've talked about this now for a long time, and I think the
I'm
board
all
is looking forward to tabling this until The public hearing,
Fine.
or.
The public hearing is
set a
not on the
public-
MOU, and so it's just going to confuse issues to act as though that we're going to be resolving these things in at the August 26th meeting. I mean, again, I feel like I'm speaking out of turn here, but maybe we could hear from the other two board members who haven't spoken.
It sounds like even if we put it to a vote, there's two not happy with it that have already expressed it, it won't pass. As is. I don't think we should vote now.
So I would like Derek and Luther, if you can speak to the attorney about what you would like in there to make you more comfortable, because he's already said he looked at it and he thought it was an agreement, a good agreement. We have a dispute settlement clause in there that if something needs, the town board is unhappy with something, then we will sit down face to face.
Okay, I'll talk to him. I mean, okay.
I'm
So
happy
what
to
are
set
we
up
saying?
a conversation. If you want to give me a call or email, we can set up a conversation so we can understand what it is that you would like to see in there. But then, the question is gonna be, is that something that the rest of the board is okay with? And because you would need that consensus to get to your majority. So, I'm happy to talk about that, but once we get to an understanding of, okay, this is what Luther wants to see in it, then I would suggest that we circulate that to the board to get some consensus before we, get a little bit of an idea that that's gonna be, palatable before we, go down a long process, right? So why don't we chat and then
Okay.
we'll make sure that there's no strenuous objections, and then we'll put it to the
All right.
forward.
Is there another town board member that would like to join that meeting? Because maybe it would be efficient to have them, if anybody has misgivings or questions.
No more
I
than
guess-
one other person.
Well, that's right. I know that.
Well, the question has been brought up to table it for tonight for another meeting. So can I get a second?
You don't have to vote on it, it's just tabled.
Okay, so it's tabled. So we'll move to the next question. Resolution to advise for Assistant Dog Control Officer, the advertise, I'm sorry.
Second. I don't know, I mean,
And need a second?
Do you know what the pay is for it?
The pay would be the same schedule, which of the tiers we choose, that the dog control officer receives.
So it's
And it
this-
would be a matter of who the person is. We would decide on the tier what that
I
pay would be.
I thought we talked about it in more simplistic terms last time, because the assistant would not necessarily have to be at every occurrence
Right.
and only when necessary, and it would be per occurrence. Like if it's daytime, maybe there'd be one flat rate for a daytime responding.
Well, we
Monday through
we
Friday?
can't do that. We have scheduled time, salaries for jobs. And it would be
Okay.
either from 1 to 5. And whatever that price is, based upon the skills the person has, it would, if we said 5, it would be, I think, what is it, 20, about between $17 and $20 an hour.
Well, let me set the stage here. So this dog
That-
control, if I may, the dog control officer may respond to 7 to 10 the assistant may respond to 7 to 10 calls a year. But if they got to come out at, 9 o'clock at night, they're not going to want to do it for $20 an hour. It's just in 1 hour, $20 an hour. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like we should have it per incident. During the day, a one rate, and after 5 o'clock, another rate until whatever, 8 or 9 in the morning. Overnight, $20 an hour. I'm not
Well,
gonna get out of bed. and
all
go-
of this is an issue that we're going to have to bring up in a town board meeting, because based upon the ag and market laws, there are an awful lot that we are going to have to do to meet those requirements. So right now, just looking to make sure that we can have a backup person that is our animal control officer now. In the event that that person can't do it for some reason. at any given time. We still need to have someone there that can, and we do get a lot of calls for different issues.
I guess my question would be, because the main dog control officer is a salaried position, and they're getting that rate per year.
Right.
What's the expectation of them to show up?
If they're sick and can't show up, no expectation.
Understandable, I guess. What happens if that person just says, I can't make it today, I can't make it today, and then all of a sudden we're paying the assistant to continue to show up?
Well, usually people don't do that on their job. So we have to wait to see if that happens.
There are times with a dangerous dog that you do need backup.
No, I fully agree.
So just in that event, just to have someone for backup. And I guess if someone's,
So we're paying this person as needed an hourly rate.
Yeah.
I would say per incident, but the supervisor's saying hourly.
Then we also have, though, we're working on the codes, and I know it's not a code workshop, that we were gonna have the code enforcement officer respond with the dog warden. Like that was updated in the code so that it's not just one person going out there. So maybe our code enforcement officer should just receive training with
Well,
this as
that-
well.
Wouldn't that expand his duties?
Well, the code enforcement officer has training every other Thursday evening.
Yeah.
And that is on the agenda for the code enforcement officer that we have now. Not code enforcement, I'm sorry. Animal control officer.
Yeah.
That we have now to go to those meetings and those trainings.
But maybe he could just get debriefed too by her, but I know he can't be the one that responds alone.
Right.
But like, it's just safe to have another person there, because what if you have an unruly person too, like
Yeah.
might not be the dog. So I think he would be the one going, and I think he does tune into these meetings, and I'd welcome if he is against it just to talk about it, but I don't think Rick would be against something
Right.
like that. But and usually the police are called.
Well, the question is, do I have the right to advertise for a dog control officer?
I do think we need an assistant. I second it, but the thing is, we haven't worked out.
Okay, well,
pay
it's
schedule.
been second. Can you call the roll, the vote, please?
Councilperson Kai seconded it already.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Councilperson Kais,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes,
Councilman Goshen,
Yeah, we can adjust the pay if we need to.
It's something
Councilman
that
Brown,
Can do.
Yes.
Supervisor Hankins.
Yes. Resolution to approve proposed attorney's retainer that we have decided to table for further negotiation.
okay.
That was easy.
New business. Resolution approving record of activities for elected and appointed officials.
I move that the town of Rush hereby approves and establishes the following as standard workday for elected and appointed officials, and the town clerk will report the following days worked to the New York State and local employees retirement system based on the record of activities, ROA, maintained and submitted by these officials to the clerk of the body in accordance with the attached chart.
I'll second.
I have a question about the chart. Chart looks like this for those following. And I just want to see if you can explain the chart, Pam.
Elected and appointed officials, by law, if they are in the New York State retirement system, if they elect to be in that, they have to write 3 months worth of their work and submit it to the clerk of the body. And then a formula is divided by 3 months and then by how many days, either 6, 7, or 8, that the town agreed upon to divide it by, which is something that you've already done. And then it's calculated into that many hours.
Thank you. I just, it's just a little confusing to me when I look at, let's say, it says standard workday, that column there. It's so like, let's just take, for example, Sue Me. Does a standard, does that mean she works 6 hours times
No,
5?
that means that a standard workday for under New York State Retirement Services, the town board must select either 6, 7, or 8. She is part-time, it's 6 hours. If you work 35 hours, it's 7. If you work 40 hours, it's 8.
Gotcha. It really doesn't make sense just looking at this chart,
I know
but
it
that's the way it's
doesn't.
gotta be. Okay. Ready to vote.
Did I get a second?
Yes.
Yes. So, Councilman McLaughlin,
I,
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Aye.
and then Councilwoman Rizzo, you did say aye.
I haven't done it yet. Yes, I vote yeah.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Schedule budget workshop.
I move to schedule a budget workshop on Wednesday, August 12th, 2026 at 7 PM at the offices of the Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543. Do I have a second?
We already have a
Oh.
code amendment workshop scheduled and noticed for that date, no? I think that.
Well, we could have two things in the same day and cut off
Yeah, no-
after an hour.
Right.
And then we'll have another workshop at 8.
Yep, so we can do that.
So I amend to 8 PM. We'll talk an hour about the codes and an hour about, well, after that, it's kind of open if you want to stay till midnight. But we can talk about the budget at 8 o'clock.
Okay,
Is there a second?
Do I have a second for 8 PM?
I second.
Councilman Kais,
All right.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
No, I don't think we should do two different ones at the same night.
Councilman McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins,
Aye. Proposed resolution pending mandatory referendum to lower town board annual compensation from 8,400 to 4,200. And the reason that that's back on the agenda tonight is last year it was passed for budget year 2026 to lower the town board salary to offset some of the cost. That was done illegally. So we're putting it back on now so that we can have a referendum in November. And the reason for November is because it won't be any cost to the town because it's an election day.
If I can ask a question?
Mhm.
So this wouldn't go into effect until 2027.
Right.
Okay.
So just to to outline how much we would be paid. Currently at $8,400, which has been pretty much what we've been paid since the 90s. It's $10.76 an hour because we're defined as a 15-hour job. If we go to 4,200, that's $5.38. Minimum wage is $16 an hour in New York State. So I think we're already taking a generous cut. I know no one's changing their life on $8,000. But regardless, I think I set a precedent, regardless who's on this board going forward, that they should be compensated for the time they sacrifice with their families. And put aside their outside work. If they own companies, they put aside the time to their companies to represent their town. And I haven't heard a lot of residents arguing with $10.76 an hour. I'd be happy for any emails. But I think anyone is worth at least $10.76 an hour.
I'll speak to it only because I was the one who mentioned it last year during the budget workshops. Yes, it was a thought at the time and, Lee, I spoke to you about it and I don't think it's a terrible idea, but after talking to some of the board members who, put in a lot of time, and the other portion of it I didn't think about was we don't know where we're at financially.
Mhm.
And if we really think that $16,000 is gonna make or break the town,
Mhm.
I think we need to take a harder look at the budget first. And get further into budget workshops, meetings before we make decisions like that.
Well,
So,
the reason that it's on now is because we have a certain deadline for permissive referendum.
so part of my thought was, I would like to see our accounts clerk
Mhm.
give a presentation about where we're at. Where did we end our 2025 year?
Mhm.
And where are we at now that
Mhm.
we're a little beyond mid-year?
Mhm.
And I
Well-
think making a decision like this needs to be more on an educated basis, so.
I would like to see this, I would like to see this have a referendum. You know, being on the board is, we do need some gas money perhaps, but it's public service. And I just believe that every community, said every citizen should be volunteering their hours in the community somehow. And I know many of you have done it for years, but when I went on the campaign trail, which was not that long ago, I heard time and time again, what am I getting for my tax dollars? And I hear them saying, cut the budget, cut the budget. I would like to cut the budget. And I know that we can't cut budgets with energy costs and diesel. We can try to conserve, that's for sure. Diesel, energy costs, things like that. But I wouldn't mind this going to a public referendum.
The other point I was gonna make was, when you look at our salaries based on what some of the other chairpersons make for what they do, Dave, you're on the planning board, Luther, or Mary Ann, you represent the zoning board. I mean, there's a lot of hours that go into those, almost as much as what we do at times. And the salary difference there is not even close. So
We make 10 times as much, and it's not even a lot of money. It's not, but.
I'm
right.
just saying, I think we need to get into a true budget workshop before making a decision like that.
Well, but the issue
And how to
is,
shift it.
but the issue is, it wouldn't happen this year if we don't put it on now for November's election. We have a deadline.
What's the
And,
deadline?
Town clerk, hopefully she can tell us exactly the.
I have not had a chance to call the Board of Elections to see what the deadline is. I know it's coming up.
No, I know that the supervisor, before the last town board ended their tenure, the supervisor stood at the podium and said, please cut the supervisor salary in half before I become and he was already supervisor-elect. So why did we not have to go to a referendum for that? But we need to go to, because we're mid-year, we're still
Yeah.
in process. There we go.
You got it.
Okay. So.
And also we got all this money, 1.5 million as a resident said earlier. And that we're not hurting for money, but we're hurting for 16,000, which we haven't even gone into a budget workshop to talk about where the 16,000 would be allocated. But we can throw 80,000 for a match for a grant, 50,000 for a match, 100,000 for a match.
Well, that's 16,000 each and every year.
Yeah,
And if you say 5 years.
but it's budgeted.
Or even a 4-year tenure of $16,000 savings times 4, you're really, you can maybe pay for a capital improvement. So I'm all for it.
I just think like you would try this and it would be a Department of Labor
Yeah,
issue with anyone else. But it can go to a vote. You guys can motion it, but I think everyone gets to weigh in.
Yeah.
I just think that it seems a little bit to be midstream doing this, and it's a little bit of a slap to say we're worth $5.38 an hour. Like, I think anybody is worth more than that. And time is money, especially with your families, your businesses, any of your leisure activities. So. And your work. So, and 3 of us have other outside.
And reading the
jobs.
resolution. Oh, okay. I know, I want to just say you're all definitely worth it, but that's neither here nor there. Whereas the town of Rush has reviewed the compensation paid to members of the town board and it's determined that it's the best interest of the town to reduce the compensation. Whereas pursuant to the applicable provision of New York State town law, reduction in the compensation of elected town board members is subject to mandatory referendum before coming effective. Therefore be it resolved that the annual compensation for the town of Rush Town board members shall be reduced from 8,400 to 4,200 per year. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be submitted to the qualified electors of the town for approval at a mandatory referendum to be held in accordance with New York State town law and New York State election law. And be it further resolved that if approved by the voters, the reduced compensation to become effective in 2027 or at the commencement of the next term of office as requested by law. Do I have a second?
A second.
And just letting everyone know, it does cost a couple thousand, even though it is election day, to submit a referendum for the, for a vote.
Councilman Kais,
No.
Supervisor. Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McGlashan,
Nay.
Councilman Brown,
No.
Supervisor Hankins.
Yes.
Not carried.
The resolution that is coming up next, the reason that I put that on was because we were doing research around to have a place to place a dog. Because we didn't have any places to place a dog. And that we had to take from the owners. But through the research, we found that they're under new management and they don't accept that anymore. So we're gonna table that one.
But we do need a place to take a dog that's been captured or found, and we don't have that. Right now, there are 2 beds, let's so to speak, over in Henrietta. We do have a partnership with Henrietta, but in the event that the dog control officer has to seize a dog, she has absolutely nowhere to bring the dog. Right now, unless one of these 2 beds in Henrietta, which are temporary, I'm calling them beds, unless one of these 2 beds is vacated.
Why is Henrietta projected to have their, but we put a lot of money into that.
It-
Why are
it's
they
coming.
projected to have a dog?
Well, the building itself, or the kennel itself, I'm being told in September that it should be finished because there were a lot of increases in cost. But they have opened up an area that the town of Rush is using now, hopefully until that time.
Okay.
Okay. They also have shared their staff, their animal control officers too, with the town of Rush as sort of a help because they're not open yet.
So is this
Because
gonna
once
be-
it's open, there were supposed to be 4 other towns. And in the process of that, we would share time of servicing the kennel. And the lowest number of citizens would have less time to do there. Like Henrietta has over 40,000 people, so they would have more time spent working in the kennel than Rush would have.
So the suburban animal hospital is just gonna be as
They're not
needed
gonna-
if needed.
No, they're not gonna do it. They said that they don't do that anymore.
Oh,
So we don't have an agreement that we can have with them. But I'm still looking at all of the other areas around within a radius that would work for the town of Rush if we can get that backup service.
Well, we can't make an agreement with a place that doesn't do it anymore.
Right.
Well,
so-
let's just say that I'd like to put it out to the community to let us know if you have any ideas,
Okay.
either in our community or in our neighboring community, where we can safely house a dog
Okay.
that's been seized.
Okay.
And
Okay, well,
we need some help with that. I've already checked out Pet Cemetery. They have a kennel there and they're not able to do that.
okay, moving on to the next proposal. Proposed resolution authorizing the establishment of a reserve fund for retirees, healthcare costs. It's one of the things that I've been looking at and looking into to try to make sure that the town can stay within a 2% tax cap.
I so moved to authorize the establishment of a reserve fund for Town of Rush retiree health care costs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Derek and
Luther.
Luther. Hold on just one second. Before I call the roll, I just wanted the attorney to review something that came in the Talk of Times from the Association of Towns.
Why don't you share it? I haven't reviewed the material at all, so it's not really appropriate for me to present it as legal advice.
So I was looking at this at the Talk of Towns and it says, and this is about liability pushing towns closer to the edge of the fiscal cliff. The state of New York, firmly believe, let's see. The state of New York, however, despite having a host of other reserve funds, currently does not allow towns to set aside money in a dedicated fund to cover the OPEB liability. It has to be authorized through legislation. That's why the Associated Towns needs everybody's help in getting it passed so that a reserve fund can be set.
But one of the reasons also is the state is going to be either passing that this year or they're not going to be.
Okay.
And working on our budget, we still want to be able to do it when that law comes down as passed.
I just wanted to bring that, I
Right,
saw
yeah.
that and wanted
Yeah.
to bring it to your attention
Yeah.
after I was looking for it.
But that would be a ruling with the budget for the town board. If we know that we can't do it, then it won't be a part of the budget.
All right.
So do we have to add pending state legislation approval?
I have not been asked to look into this beforehand, so I did not look into it prior to the meeting. If the town board would like me to, I'd be happy to look into any questions you guys have about it.
Well, we can, because the only thing I want to do is to make sure that as we're working on the budget, we're able to stay within the 2% tax cap, because a lot of things have changed out there. Insurance has gone up 17.5%. State retirement has gone up 17%. And I can go on and on. Because of retirements, not retirement, but because of the change in the tax rates for the fire department and EMTs, we're like 5.2% or maybe 5.4% less from the budget than it was last year. So all of those things we are going to be taking into consideration with the upcoming budget. So if we can have that available, if and when the law is passed, we can make that decision based upon a ruling tonight. But we don't have to do it if we can't do it.
It sounds like it's important to do. Can
Okay,
can we pass it? And then if
Well,
we're not,
We already have the motion.
oh,
It's a vote.
okay. So why don't we vote on it? And then if for some reason we can't realize it, then we won't be able to realize it anyway.
I'll just call the vote.
Yeah,
Councilman-
Sorry, there's one thing I would say. So not having researched the legal question of whether it's authorized or not, and based on Pam's reading of that, and which indicated that I believe there was pending legislation that was being considered that was necessary to authorize this. If that is all correct, and you want to consider something in the event that the state adopts the authorizing legislation, then consider adding a trigger clause that this would only go into effect if the state adopts it. So it's not to be adopting something that has not been authorized.
I would like to amend my resolution that
Pursuant to-
it only goes into effect if the town or if the state adopts the what'd you say? Jay?
Pursuant to adopted legislation.
pursuant to adopt the legislation.
So if the state adopts it, it would trigger this.
Pursuant to New York State adopted legislation.
Pending legislation.
So again, I haven't reviewed the pending legislation. I can't speak to it at all, but if it's what you're saying and what's reflected in the article, then this would be your hedge.
Okay. Councilman Kais?
Do you want to put in try to do the reserve fund?
Yeah. Yes.
Councilwoman Rizzo?
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins?
Aye.
Carried.
Proposed resolution to appoint town supervisor as town appeals office. We're going to table that for further discussion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Resolution authorizing the release of appeal FOIL information.
I so move to authorize the release of appealed FOIL information related to Middle Road. Thank you. I've heard it enough. I should know
Of the
by
town
now.
attorney. From the town attorney.
Middle Road Engineer Study.
Middle
But
Road
to have-
Engineer Study.
To have the pricing redacted.
With pricing redacted.
Yes.
Did you second it?
Oh, I second.
Okay.
Who did move? Lee?
Brown moved. Rizzo seconded.
Middle Road Engineer Study with pricing redacted.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Councilman Kais?
Aye.
Councilwoman Rizzo?
Yes.
Councilman McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins?
Aye. Proposed resolution for chief financial officer, appointment of a citizen committee for financial and communication. And the reason that I'm asking that is because I am the chief financial officer and all of the issues with creating the budget. I'm going by what our handbook says is asking for the right to be able to have someone work with me that is very experienced in budgets.
Wait, just one individual, not a committee?
Not a committee, not just one individual either, but whatever I feel that is needed for that support, I would be able to have.
I just think we need a volunteer description, like what we would be looking for, so it wouldn't be biased.
Well, we would be looking for a person that have worked on town budgets in the past, that has experience with budgets. And I'm not really concerned about who they are, as long as they have the skills that we need.
So like everyone in the audience could be on the committee?
People
Well, if
that
they
are in the
have
audience,
experience.
I might be looking at those people anyway. That's why I'm asking the question. To
How
have
many
the right to do
people,
it.
how many people do you want on the committee?
So in the
Well,
past,
I'd like to make that decision when we find out what we need.
so in the past, we've always done department heads bring their budget to us. We put it to, or Janet would put it together.
Right.
We would review.
And that's what we're doing now. That's what we're doing now.
Right.
But I'm different and I have the right. It says chief financial officer. I have the right to look at things the way I want to, that I'm going to be putting out for the board to make decisions on.
I think that's what our job is, though, is to do the workshops, to talk through
That
it.
is going to happen because we're going to be scheduling all of the,
And then-
You're
And
gonna
public
meet,
comments allowed at those?
well, we're not going to be having a town board meeting.
Well, at least they could have a workshop, then they could talk at the next board meeting, because we can't stop them on a 3-minute
Well, I
timer.
guess I don't know what you're talking about. I need to
I feel
understand
like
what I'm
the-
answering.
I feel like the public can already weigh in on this. Cause like, say you have 100 volunteers, how do you tell 100 people that you're gonna pick 5? Or,
Well, I'm not asking for volunteers. I will,
yeah,
well, I'm just asking for what I have here. for the town board to give me the authority to do.
Can you put something a little more like how many people will be on, who would, what type of people you'll look for,
I'm
and how
not-
you report it back? Because you're gonna probably go and come up with a potential budget and then present it to us. I think if you could put your flow chart and give it to us, I mean, because Derek says, we always, people come to us and then we have the town board meetings and we talk about it and so forth.
And
If
that-
you want to express your right and have a subcommittee and bring it to us, I just think it'd be fair for us to understand your flow chart and how you're gonna do it.
But we have an accounts clerk, correct?
Hmm?
I'm sorry?
Bookkeeper,
We have
We have a
a
bookkeeper.
bookkeeper and an accountant firm.
right?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, wouldn't those be the people to help?
Those are the people that are helping. Those are the people that are creating the budget. It's just that, as of day one, my job became a certified public accountant. And what I'm saying is, I want my teacher, and I'm asking the board to give me the right to get it. That's all.
Who is it?
I don't have to tell you that because I haven't made that decision yet. I'm just asking the board to give me the right to get somebody that is experienced in something that I'm not, so that I can make good decisions when I'm presenting things to you, when I'm bringing people before this board to present their
I don't-
budgets and their ideas. I just need that kind of support, and I'm asking the board for it. That's all.
I guess I would say my feeling is no. Day one, your point was that you were gonna correct the budget,
And that's what I'm doing.
and I don't want somebody else doing that for you. And
Well,
what,
they're not doing it
what,
for me.
what information,
have-
what information is brought to us, I want it brought by you and the department heads.
And that's gonna happen.
Not if somebody is working directly for you,
They're not working for me.
manipulating the budget to
They're-
what they think is gonna work.
They're not working for me. They are not working for me.
But they're reporting directly to you. Whether
I
the
think
wo-
it sounds,
I'd like to ask, if I have a question that I don't understand, I need to understand it. And I feel that I have the right to be able to talk with anybody about the budget and ask for information. I have that right.
I don't have a problem
A
with it.
budget will be coming before the town. Everything that the town does, based upon the rules of creating the budget, will start to happen at the next meeting that we just scheduled.
Alls I will say is I put my trust in you for the last 6 months,
And
that you're gonna right side this town and you're gonna do what's best financially for the
And
town.
that's what's happening.
And I wanna see you do that.
That is
and
what's
present the
happening,
budget,
and that is
but
what's
you
happening.
and nobody else.
Well, you can't tell me that.
But this
I'll
is,
tell you that
You
'cause I'm
can't
gonna
tell
vote
me
no.
that I can
Just-
talk. I just brought this before the board
I understand.
to make sure that you know what I am looking at doing. That's
I know-
it.
I know, but we have an accountant, we have a bookkeeper. I feel like those people should be more than enough, because that's how we've always done it.
They
in Fairmont.
are, they are.
I would like
The
to
question
comment,
is-
please. This is an advisory committee of 1, 2, 3 people, maybe. And I think we could only gain from it. He's just looking for someone. And I think the goal is fiscal responsibility. And if we can get a little, it's advisory only. In the end, it's the board that makes the decision. He's just asking, hey, let me get some help with an advisory only short-term citizens committee. I think it's a good idea. Because he's asking for it. And
Do we have a second? Is there a second already?
I second it.
From Colorado?
I'd comment, the Association of Towns has a couple webinars coming up on budgets and how to understand them. I would recommend those free webinars. And if our accounting firm isn't communicating very well and making us understand what's going on with our budget, maybe it's the accounting firm that we need to look at. Or if the bookkeeper's not interpreting it. I know she just started though, so I give her a little bit of cred there that she's probably just catching up. But I think maybe talk to her about understanding, because that's why we surround you with these people, is to help you
And that
as
is
well.
going perfect.
Great.
The finance person will be, I mean, the accountant person will be meeting with the town board to explain the questions that the town board has. And we will be putting a budget together. But I have to write. And I don't think I have to keep saying that.
All right, we can.
So can we, did we have the second?
Why not?
You got them. It's you two.
Councilman Guys,
No.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McGlashan,
Nay.
Councilman Brown,
No.
Supervisor Hankins,
Yes. Resolution to advertise for a secretary to the town supervisor.
Sadly, I move to authorize to advertise for a secretary to the supervisor. You don't have to have sadly in there. I'm gonna miss her. She's done a great job. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Guys,
Aye.
Councilwoman Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McGlashan,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
All right. Just one comment about her leaving. She really came in at a time that was really needed. And she was great at the work that she did. But because we are a part-time office, she went to a full-time job. So I congratulate her. Resolution authorizing submission of a grant application for a New York State Water Quality Improvement Project grant for a new salt barn for the town of Rush Highway Department. That is one of the things that we can apply for a grant for. And our town engineer gave us that opportunity by referring that grant.
I'd like to read it.
Can the $100,000 be covered by highway or is it town?
Well, based
Reserved.
upon what I've heard over the months, Derek, is the highway department needs over $450,000 for a salt barn.
Mhm.
We've got volunteers out there working, trying to cut that into $100,000 instead of $450,000. It's a choice that the board can make tonight.
But the question is,
I
would it come out of
I
the highway?
fully support this
Yeah,
because
would it
if
come out of
anybody
the
looked at
highway?
it, the salt barn's about ready to fall over.
Well, that's.
So I support it.
That's
I
why
was
we're-
just asking if do we know how we're gonna fund that 100,000?
Good
That's all.
I like the question.
Well, yes, we do.
Okay.
How are we gonna take some from the highway department and some from the general?
Well,
Or we
no.
just budget for it? Assuming going into next year.
That would be a choice that the board would have to make. But that over $1 million that we have in reserves, that's what that money is for, not to sit there and be pretty. It's to take care of the town. The most important part of my job is to make sure that we are taking care of the town's properties. And that's what a lot of that money is for. We have not been using it, and that's why things like the salt barn has fallen apart.
I'd like to read it.
And we have that money sitting there.
I will
Go
just
ahead.
say, if we're gonna protect properties, we need to look
Thank you.
into the leak that's in your office as well at some point.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And we're working on that too. But one of the, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Can you bold too that we have the 100,000, but we were about to cut 16,000? We were debating. I just again, feedback, like I do believe the salt barn needs to be fixed. But when did this start? Like this grant, again, we're blindsided with a grant. I think this was added to the agenda yesterday.
Well, one of the issues with the grant, David, if I might explain it to you,
Okay.
we discovered that we could do that. And time runs out on grants. So you jump on it as quickly as you can.
I would just like to say that if,
Can we call,
I'm going to read it. I would, and then I'll comment afterward. Be it resolved, whereas the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's Water Quality Improvement Project is competitive statewide reimbursement grant program that funds projects directly improving water quality or habitat, promoting flood risk reduction, restoration, enhanced flood and climate resiliency, or protecting drinking water. Why do I feel like it's not the right resolution? Okay, whereas one of the categories of funding is for the salt barn replacement. Okay, that's within there. And or the renovation. And the Town of Rush Highway Department has identified a new salt barn as an important goal in their list of needed capital improvements. Whereas soil, groundwater, and surface water bodies across Lake Ontario are experiencing rising chloride levels, which can be toxic to aquatic life, degrade soil structure, harm salt tolerant vegetation, and corrode critical infrastructure. And whereas Rush is in the Honey Creek watershed and Genesee River Basin, and maintaining proper storage of our road salt is critical to the environmental health and well-being of our town and region. And whereas the town of Rush has completed an estimate of a new road salt storage barn for $450,000. Therefore, be it resolved that the Rush Town Board approves the preparation and submission of a WQIP grant project through the consolidated funding application for a salt barn by July 30th, and certifies that the town is prepared to provide a 25% contribution up to $100,000 of matching and or in-kind funds as required by the grant, and that these funds are available in the town's unexpended fund balance. Do I have a second?
a second.
Luther's got a second? Okay.
Thought it was.
Wouldn't 25% be $112,500?
It's,
But it might be,
yep.
yeah, okay.
Okay, Luther, did you second it?
I second it
Okay.
with a correction.
Right, with the correction
Yeah.
that Derek just
Did in
made.
my head too.
Yeah,
At-
that's
At
great.
10 o'clock.
I used my calculator. You're right. No, I'm
Councilmember
just kidding.
Rizzo,
Yes.
Councilman McGlashan,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
Aye. Now, based upon most grants that you get, that in kind will knock that price down, in some cases, down to nothing. And also in some cases, you can apply for other grants to pay that, rather than the town having to pay it. But you have to agree in order to even apply for a grant. That's why that's always there. Okay, so
Did you write this one? Just wondering, because it just came out of nowhere.
I know that it's so important that we get this.
Yeah.
right, okay.
Because we've finished the business that's on the agenda, according to 2023.
Mhm.
I've done this a couple times. I can add an agenda item. I did request it. Yeah, we did.
did.
It was just extra comments at the end. Everyone passed it. I asked 6 times for the policy to be put on it. I'm gonna have to read the whole thing because it's not on the agenda. I do believe, as well as I've been speaking to board members, I do believe it is a priority, our security. I asked for feedback. Attorney has given his input.
I would
I-
like to make the board aware that that has not been put before the people of the town of Rush.
Yeah.
To comment or to observe.
Well, I
And
can read it
that
publicly.
can be put on the next agenda if we find that it should be.
But I can't trust in good faith that that'll happen because I asked 6 times.
Well, we will also look at
No,
the laws governing what this resolution is. Because based upon what I know and what I see, it isn't going to work. So we need time for the public to be able to look at it. So, and it was not on the agenda. It can be put on the agenda for the next meeting.
And it's still can by our 2023 resolution. This was passed by the Kusi administration and hasn't been undone. That a board member can bring a resolution at any time at a town board meeting, and I wanted it on the agenda. So I guess I move to.
Well,
add-
I would like to see that
Oh.
resolution from the board at that time.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
I would
move
like
this
that
one.
to be presented.
Okay.
We need
taken.
it to be in its form. I think we could have it, you know, so that the public can look at it.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
trust that it will.
Well,
But-
and I don't trust because you keep bringing all these resolutions to the town and bypassing the public with your resolutions.
Because
And I'm
you-
saying
you block the
that
public from seeing
based
it.
upon New York state law,
Okay,
open meetings law,
Mhm.
it needs to be presented before the public.
and that's why I'm gonna
Have
read the whole
opportunity.
thing.
No, not with the public not having the opportunity to know about it, to come and speak on it.
Okay, well, they,
Okay?
they
That
can be
is-
done.
Can you make sure that he knows, Counselor, that open meetings law?
The open meetings law says that items scheduled to be discussed at an open meetings must be made available upon request to members of the public. You
But
have
the
two
public,
issues-
if the public doesn't know about it, how are they gonna make a request?
You have two issues. One is that it wasn't scheduled.
That's right,
discussed,
and that is
and-
the issue, and the
Well-
public wasn't made aware of it.
Because it wasn't scheduled. to be
Right.
Discussed, it was brought up spur of the moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't required to be made available. And second, no one requested it. If someone requested the policy, it should be made available to them.
Right, and,
No one
but,
requested it and it wasn't put on the agenda, and so it wasn't
well,
scheduled.
well,
So
but,
that requirement probably,
but
doesn't-
I scheduled the agendas. And it wasn't on. And the supervisor, that is the supervisor's right, based on open meetings law.
Well,
you
local
can
law.
set the agenda.
And that's
but
what I'm projecting to do now. Is to schedule this for the next agenda, so that the people will have the opportunity to weigh in.
And you have the right to make that offer to David, but if David wants to make a motion and has two other people to join him, then
But
the motion can be voted on.
based upon some of the things that I read, we have been told the wrong thing over and over about David being able to take over the town board meetings.
Wow. So two attorneys, the Association of Towns Attorney and from Underberg and Custer, we have Jake here. And so both attorneys are wrong.
I'm
I
saying.
think we got to get the Attorney General. But anyway,
I'm
I move, so
that
I'm
will
moving,
be
it's
the-
my floor time. I move to add the
and I'm
following
moving that that
policy
should
to
not be
author, to add
on
to our
the town
employee
board
handbook
tonight.
policy.
That should be. separate.
Authorized use and access of town-issued
Yeah.
email accounts. 1, findings, town employees and officials have a minimal privacy interest in emails sent to or received from town-issued accounts. Under New York's Freedom of Information Law, FOIL, all such communications constitute public records and may be subject to disclosure. Because these emails are created and maintained in the course of official duties, the town must ensure that account access and sender identification practices preserve the integrity, transparency, and retrievability of these records. 2, purpose. The town of Rush provides electronic mail, email, resources to support the efficient conduct of official town business. To maintain security, accountability, public trust, and compliance with record retention laws, it is essential that access to these accounts is strictly controlled and that any authorized shared administrative use is accurately disclosed. 3, scope. This policy applies to all full-time and part-time employees, elected officials, appointed board members, and any individuals provided with a town-issued email account or designated domain. 4, sole account user requirement. Except as provided in Section 5 of this policy, all employees and elected officials must be the sole users of their assigned town email accounts. Logins and passwords must never be intentionally shared with coworkers, family members, or third parties. Users are personally responsible for all actions taken and communications sent using their assigned email accounts when access has been voluntarily or intentionally granted to another individual. 5, here's section 5. Permitted exceptions for administrative assistants. Town employed secretaries, administrative assistants, or clerks may be granted intentional delegated access to an employee's or elected official's email account to assist with scheduling, correspondence, or daily operations. Such access is strictly prohibited until a delegated email access authorization form attached has been fully executed and filed with the town clerk. However, to ensure transparency, any administrative staff member intentionally sending or replying to an email from another official's account must clearly identify themselves within the correspondence example format sent by assistant name on behalf of official name, comma, title, or using a clear dedicated email signature that identifies the assistant's role. 6, confidentiality in public records. All emails sent or received on town-issued accounts are the property of the town of Rush and may be subject to disclosure under the New York Freedom of Information Law FOIL. The intentional sharing of account credentials or unauthorized third-party access compromises the integrity of these public records. 7, account deactivation and record preservation. Deactivation upon separation. Upon an individual's termination, resignation, retirement, or the expiration of their term of office, their town-issued email account shall be promptly deactivated by the IT administrator to prevent further access or use. Preservation of records. In compliance with the New York State Archives Records Retention and Disposition Schedule, LGS 1, and FOIL mandates, the contents of all deactivated accounts must be preserved, archived, and kept retrievable for the legally required retention period. Under no circumstances shall an account's data be deleted or destroyed immediately upon deactivation without written authorization verifying that retention requirements have been fully satisfied. 8, violations. Failure to adhere to this policy, specifically the intentional sharing of account credentials, voluntarily permitting unauthorized access, or failing to properly identify oneself when intentionally sending an email on behalf of another may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment, restriction of network privileges, or in the case of elected officials, censure. Final determinations regarding these consequences shall be made in accordance with Section 9. Section 9, oversight, investigation, and enforcement regarding intentional sharing. Oversight jurisdictions. Departmental staff. Department heads shall be responsible for the continuous oversight, monitoring, and implementation of this policy within their respective departments, ensuring that personnel understand the restrictions against the intentional sharing of account credentials and access. Elected and appointed officials. The town board shall hold direct oversight responsibility for compliance with this policy regarding members of the town board, appointed subboards, e.g. examples, planning board, zoning board of appeals, and the supervisor. So you can add conservation board. Warranted investigation. In the event of a suspected policy breach, specifically where an account holder is suspected of intentionally sharing credentials or voluntarily allowing unauthorized email access, an investigation may be deemed warranted by the appropriate department head or by the town board. Once authorized, the investigation of town emails and access logs shall be conducted by the designated town email provider or IT administrator. Final determinations. Following the conclusion of any investigation regarding intentional account sharing, all findings will be reviewed and final determinations regarding disciplinary actions or consequences will be made solely by the town board. Appendix A, Town of Rush, Delegated Email Access Authorization Form. This form must be completed, signed, and filed with the town clerk and IT administrator prior to granting any administrative staff member access to another individual's town-issued email account, as required under Section 5 of the Authorized Use and Access of Town-Issued Email Accounts Policy. 1, account information, which will enter this: their account holder name, title/department, town email address, blank at townofrush.gov. 2, authorized delegate information, delegate name, example staff or clerk, their title, department, delegate, town, email address, blank at townofrushny.gov. Permitted access level, check all that apply. Calendar only. Access to view, add, or edit calendar events and invitations. Second one, read-only email access. Access to view and monitor incoming email traffic. Final one, full delegated access, send on behalf of. Authorization to read emails, organize folders, and send reply to emails on behalf of the account holder. 4, statements of compliance and acknowledgement. Account holder acknowledgement. I hereby authorize the intentional delegated access specified above. I understand that I remain personally responsible for monitoring the general activity on my account. I certify that I have not and will not share my account login password with the delegate, and the access will only be granted through approved IT system delegation features. Account holder signature, date. Delegate acknowledgement. I acknowledge that I have been granted authorized access to the above named email account solely to assist with official town business. I agree to strictly adhere to the transparency requirements of Section 5, meaning I will clearly identify myself as the sender on any email communication I initiate or reply to from this account using the required format. I understand that any unauthorized or unidentifiable I don't know if I'm saying that right, use may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Delegate signature, date. Administrative routing, Section 5 for office use only, received by town clerk on and signature, and then appendix, Town of Rush Employee Handbook Policy Acknowledgement. Instructions. Please read the policy carefully. Sign and date this acknowledgement form below and return it to your department head or the town clerk within 10 business days of receiving this document or your town issued email credentials. Employee official acknowledgement. I hereby acknowledge that I have received, read, and fully understand the authorized use and access of town-issued email accounts policy for the town of Rush. By signing below, I explicitly agree to abide by all the terms, conditions, and rules established in this policy, including but not limited to no intentional credential sharing. I understand that my login information is confidential, and I will not intentionally share my password or voluntarily grant unapproved email access to anyone. Transparency requirements. I agree that if I am authorized to access or send email on behalf of another official per Section 5, I will clearly identify myself in all communications. Public records awareness. I recognize that all town-issued emails are public records subject to FOIL disclosure, and that accounts are actively monitored for policy compliance, enforcement, and disciplinary actions. I understand that suspected violations regarding intentional account sharing are subject to investigation by the town email provider, IT administrator, at the direction of my department head or the town board, and that final determination of consequences will be made solely by the town board. I understand that failure to comply with the regulations outlined in this policy may result in disciplinary actions up to and including the termination of my employment, loss of network access, or official censure. Print employee official name, title/department, assigned town email address, blank at it should say Town of Rush, ny.gov. Signature of employee official, and then dated, signed.
And what I would like to say is, the reason I say that this has to be tabled, because there are a lot of different laws out there about the same thing that he just read. Okay, I had them, but I didn't have them here with me tonight because this wasn't supposed to be on the agenda. But there are more laws saying opposite of what he just read and opposite of what he just put out there. And I'm saying that as a town leader, I have the right to put that on hold until we can get that information here before the town board so they can make their decisions. This is one person looking at one part of the law, and there are other parts of the law. And I know that you know it, town council, that there are different laws stating things that the supervisor has the right to do without the town board approval. And I want that to be on the table and put in front of the people. before any decisions are made. Because if it's not that way, then I will have to do something about it, and I don't want to go there. But I am not going to accept that as it is, knowing that there are other rules out there that the state controller has put out about what he just wrote, about what he just wrote and what he just said. So I'm asking the board to let me bring more information back and let's put it before the public.
I will, and do one amendment to what I read on page, on appendix B, instead of 10 business days, because it's a new policy, and if we have a new hire, I'm sure they have a lot. I'd like to amend it to 30 business days. So they'll have a month to sign it. Especially since it's a new policy, they can give us review. If we need to amend it, we can do it on another meeting to amend anything that needs to come back from department heads. Do I have a second with that amendment?
I say that we should not be voting on this tonight. I say that we should table this because there are other laws out there governing the rights that the town supervisor has
No.
and being able to communicate. And he can sit here and say no, but I know that there are other laws out there. And I'm asking the town board not to go there tonight because it's going to cost an awful lot of time that the town is going to have to spend on this. Because I know that there are other laws out there. Okay?
Well, law 29, but I don't
Law
know.
29.
Don't know
That's
which
where,
one.
that's where it starts. That's where it starts. And I would like to table this, and I'm asking the town board to table this and take a look for themselves.
Can I have a second for
At the law.
Respect for the supervisor, I don't have a problem with waiting to the next town board meeting because
And I would bring more
Pretty-
information
it's
to
pretty-
contradict what he just created. And it sounds great what he created, but there are other laws out there that give me some authority in what I do in my communicating to people.
So the president of the United States, then, if you're saying.
Right, that's,
Could-
now, how many?
Could have a volunteer.
Yes, he does.
Do his-
Are you kidding me? Thinking that all the stuff that comes out in the middle of the night from the President Trump, that he
Oh.
is sitting there doing it? Come on.
Okay, so you're gonna mimic that?
No, what I'm saying is,
I will
And-
second it.
what I'm saying is,
There's a second on the
we
table.
need, it's gonna create a lot
I
of
did.
problems for the town. And there's no reason that we can't wait until I can bring more information to the town.
What if we, put this out pending,
This is their right.
because
Well, why can't we? just wait
9/10 of
without
this
fin-
cover the other town people who aren't covered by special
But that's
laws.
in here already. It's
No.
all in here already.
You didn't read that section.
And-
There's
well,
no
we-
email policy.
And there's communication property.
I think we should give him the right for discovery.
What I'm saying is we
I
could
have,
pen-
right.
pass this pending
Well,
what,
why
what
do
he
we
brings
pass it?
to us,
Why do we pass?
but
it?
he's covered now.
But then you have to change it.
Yeah, that's
Why don't
fine.
we
You have
just-
30 days.
Why don't we table it and come up with it? Why does this have to be tonight?
It can be
Because
changed within
I
30
know-
days, Luther.
I know that there are other laws out there that gives me a lot more rights than what he put in here. Okay? I can say to anybody, I'm not giving away my password to people. That isn't true. I can say, I'm not doing that.
That's basically all it says.
What, I'm not doing that, but my issue is Law 29 gives me a lot of rights as town supervisor.
Law 29.
based upon that-
Dakota.
Law 29, New York State, it comes from
Give him
the
time
state
to,
controller.
give him time to let
What
us
does the
do that.
attorney general say? She's the legal side.
Well, let's wait and see. Let's
Oh.
wait for a week to see. I will bring you that information.
I'll email
Okay.
her. So 30 days. Well, I'm still wanted to go
I'm
for
not
this.
asking you to do that. I'm asking the town
Oh,
to wait until I can bring more information.
I don't have to be. I
That
can reach
contradict
her
a
off.
lot of what he is saying, and I'm not asking you to be the town lawyer tonight. But I'm asking that we do not vote on that until there's time to bring other laws to the table about what rights I have as a town supervisor.
30 days.
It's not just you, though. This is a protection for employees.
Well, but that
It's an
we can,
amendment
that we
to the
can
handbook.
do with our meetings that we're having on the codes, to put that in. But we.
Not asking for
Right.
much to just do it next meeting and have him bring his discovery.
I understand.
That's.
I understand what he's.
To bring discovery to the town board before we make a decision. Because it will cost the town board a lot of time and effort when other things start coming to the floor.
It's an amendment to the employee handbook is what it is.
But it needs to be correct. And there are other laws out there. He has taken all of the rights of the town supervisor away. And there are laws out there that shows that he can't do that.
So then a lot of towns are out of compliance because I mimicked
Well,
this on surrounding
making
towns.
a law.
Okay, so
that-
interrupt me. So I don't have the right to talk?
No, you talked
Oh,
enough.
oh no, freedom of
Yeah.
speech. Sorry, that is in the Constitution.
Right.
Constitutional right.
And I have.
No, I am talking. You keep interrupting me.
I'm asking the board.
No, so it's
there's no
30
reason
days.
to argue
It
about
can
this.
be,
I am asking the board. There
Nah.
is no reason to argue about this.
but
So
you said
I'm
you
not
want it
gonna-
on the next board meeting and then it's
I'm
gonna
not
take
going-
too much time. So I don't trust you. 6 emails, you didn't email me. I call you, you say it's a constitutional right. They didn't have email back then, but I know there's updates. I have mimicked this to municipalities around us, passed it through him, gone to the associations of towns about it,
And there-
opened it up, 6 emails to the board, called everyone saying, hey, did I miss your feedback? So that I can bring this. And then I asked, can it be on the agenda? Can it be on the agenda? Ghosted, no answer. So that's why there's a second. I think we have 30 days if we need to update anything. That gives us ample time. If we miss something, you want to point it out, we can amend it.
I would like to bring the information contradicting what you have just decided to have the town board vote on.
And you said you'd
And
have
I
me
think
today.
the town board owes the town that to take
30
time
days.
for the next meeting to look at this without voting and table it for tonight. That's
You
all I'm
Make it the
asking.
first order of business at the next workshop.
That could be the.
It
the
can't
first
be a
order of business.
workshop.
Yeah.
Procedurally,
Yeah.
since there's a motion and a second, unless either the movement of the motion or the person that seconded it rescinds their motion or second, we have a pending motion and second, and so the roll should be called after deliberations are complete.
Please secure this
Well,
town council
The-
member,
the-
guys.
The town. is
We know it's an
secure.
issue.
The
It is
town
not.
Is secure. The
No.
town is secure. The town is secure, Luther.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have it happen.
Councilwoman Rizzo.
Wait a minute.
No,
Did-
he
did-
voted, I don't.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Supervisor Hankins.
No. But it passes with the understanding that I would be bringing. What?
I didn't change my motion. You can bring something. There's 30 days before people have to sign it.
Right, that's fine. Being no further business. I would like to call the motion to end the meeting.
I'll second.
Councilman Kais.
Hi.
Councilman Rizzo.
I'd like to have a public comment. No.
Councilman McLaughlin.
I know it's late, but no, because we passed in our organizational minutes
We
to
did-
public.
We did not pass that.
Okay, I can search it right now.
We're
It'll
not
come
gonna
up the
go
first thing
past
in
that tonight.
Google.
The
Oh
meeting
my
is
gosh.
Over.
Well, I'm
The
voting
meeting
nay.
is Over, thank you.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Aye,
Alright.
now you can research it and put it on the table.
I already
Because
did.
we've researched it
I don't need
over and
to
Over,
disprove me.
over and over.
You never worked at Brown Memorial Hospital, you can't find it over.
That David's playing the game that they played with the guy in the front. So he really one assist, but. my feeling is that-
Yeah, yeah. I do it and I don't like the office. But I enjoy it.
Thank you for everyone who stayed. Yeah. Now it's a long meeting.
Well, somebody's gotta pay attention to all this, forever.